Why are you acting like you're reading? You're sitting there with glasses. I just realized you're sitting there with glasses on and pretending to read.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't see you there. I was just reading this book that I got. Uh,
You're sitting there reading a Strong's Concordance. Hey, hey, TikTok, time to rock.
TikTok, TikTok.
TikTok, keep ticking. Hey,
Yes.
got a good show for everyone today. Got a good show. We're gonna go through. We're gonna go through this. Do you wait? Hang on. Do you even know who the Fonz is? A.K. Fonzie, A.K.A. Arthur Fonzarelli. Do you even know? Like, because that was before you were born. But I don't. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff before we were born that we know about. Are you familiar with the Fonz?
No, I was just doing a whole Stevie Wonder thing, but I don't know about the whole Fonz, or whatever that is. No idea.
Really?
Yeah, I just looked it up earlier when you mentioned it in a message to me. No, when you didn't mention it, you just posted the stream,
Yeah.
and then I saw it and I was like, "What in the world is Fonzie?" So I googled it briefly, and apparently it's a character, and then I didn't care much further after that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to overstate what a cultural phenomenon Fonzie was back in the day. He started off as a secondary character, but everyone loved him so much that he ended up over time becoming like the main character on the show, and eventually like just took over the show. And what was awesome, and we'll get to this a little bit later because we got a couple other things we want to go through. But
What show are we talking about?
he was like, it was Happy Days, but he was supernaturally cool. He was he was so cool. He had actual like superpowers on the show, on an otherwise mainly serious show, except for when they had an alien show up and stuff like that. But otherwise serious show. And he had superpowers on the show. That's how cool he was. But anyway, they ended up using that character. Like once his character became popular, he actually used it to do cool stuff. Like he had his character like be so cool that he like goes against racial segregation and stuff. And anyway, did cool stuff. But now he's old, and he debated Bill Maher, and they were discussing Israel. But it's an interesting point where someone can be critical of Israel and not not evil. You can have disagreements about what the government is doing and stuff like that. Anyway, they had what do you want to say? What? I dare you to say something about Fonzie. I will jump through this screen.
No, earlier today, I think just 2 hours ago or 3, I after I saw this post about how this one person was apparently mistreated and harassed at the Ben Gurion airport in Israel for being different or for being a Palestinian, and the description was just a description of a regular person being searched deeply. I read that and I thought, that's funny. So I sat down and started writing my own post of I was harassed and mistreated in a very racist way when I was leaving Israel at the Ben Gurion airport. And I posted it, and it's just a ridiculous post, which is just all about how I was treated like everybody else, and everyone was nice, but this was all a Zionist plot, and I'm still traumatized and all that. And I added at the end free PlayStation. And then the thing is, it just got retweeted by Malcolm Nance, who's like,
I was about to say, on a bad day, like half the people who read that would not understand it, but like on a good day where people are really thinking carefully, it'll still be like a quarter of people who are like, oh, you see, look, this is another guy who's exposing them for literal genocide. Hey, by the way, when did we start slurring our voice, right? Because, like, I came up years ago just going, me strong, making fun of the Dawa guys. Me strong than you, me strong. And then, but now we slur it like this. Did you start? I think you started that, didn't you? Did you start?
I started doing that. I don't know why I started doing that, but I started responding to imitating people and just doing that whole stupid voice.
And then I got it from you then, right?
I guess so. I don't know.
I got it from you, and now we talk like this. What's this? This is so good. The power of the Quran. Anyway, so guys, we're going to be checking out Bill Maher and the Fonz debating, and guys. It was a nice, friendly discussion. They shared their disagreements, and they weren't flipping out on each other, and that's what we need more of in life. But before that, we have a couple other things we want to cover. Chris from Speaker's Corner. Was so impressed by Mohammed Hijab's argument in the recent debate with William Lane Craig that Chris is actually converted to Islam.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Yeah, it's powerful. You ready?
Yeah.
Want to jump into this real quick?
Let's see.
Wait a minute. Let me do it. I just want to do a poll real quick before we start this. Do a little poll, because I really don't know how many people are familiar who still know.
People.
What's that?
It's people.
People.
Continue.
Yeah, I don't know how many people still know who the Fonz is. I know everyone who's like my generation or older would know the Fonz, because he was like legend status, like one of the most popular people on the planet. But I don't know if younger people know about it.
This is so funny. Is here you have David going, "Oh, Fonzie! Oh, well, we have to talk about that, because everybody's probably curious about the Fonzie." And it's like the younger people who are younger than 60 years old are like, who? Whomst?
You said younger than 60.
Yeah.
Did you know who the Fonz? Do a poll. Everyone answer truthfully and quit being dirtbags who just answer the opposite of what you actually think. Did you know who the Fonz is before this live stream? All right. And we'll get that, because I don't know. Because I don't know if people know who he is. Or as you would say, whomst he is.
Whomst it be?
Oh, boy. All right. So let's go ahead and check out this video from Chris first. Chris's powerful response to the Mohammed Hijab William Lane Craig debate. So, guys, William Lane Craig debated Mohammed Hijab on whether the Trinity is coherent, and there was a point in the debate where Hijab was challenging Craig, and Craig explained overdetermination, causal overdetermination. That's where multiple causes would be sufficient to cause whatever it is you're explaining and so on. What happens if you have multiple things that would all cause the same thing? Like if two people shot you in the heart at the exact same time, that would be, each one could be said to have fully caused your death. And yet it's two causes and so on. So anyway, Craig tries to break that down to Hijab, and we'll go ahead and take a look at Hijab's brilliant response, which is being celebrated by Dawa fans around the world and mocked and ridiculed by non-Dawa fans. And Chris was very impressed, so impressed that he converts to Islam. Let's go ahead and check out this powerful video.
Inshallah.
Okay, so to respond to this very clearly, your candle example with overdetermination, causal overdetermination, it's disanalogous to what we are talking about. Why? If you have two candles that come together to light a flame, you will have a bigger flame, you see.
Let's see if this...
Did you see Craig's face when... Look at Craig. He shakes his head like, what?
The thing is, when I look at Dr. William Lane Craig's reaction here immediately to what Mohammed Hijab says, I think he doesn't even in the moment realize how absurd it is what Mohammed Hijab just said, because I don't know, it's dumb, and he's kind of getting confused and giving no.
Yeah. So watch Craig's reaction as Hijab says this.
Analogous to what we are talking about. Why? If you have two candles that come together to light a flame, you will have a bigger flame, you see.
Okay, and Craig's reaction right there is, this is someone who has no clue what I'm talking about at all and is responding based on his own ignorance. And that's an ongoing problem with the Dawa crowd, is their Dawa guy will respond and have no clue what anyone is talking about. And all the Dawa fans who also don't know what the guy is talking about think that their guy, that his response is epic and brilliant. And you actually have to explain it to them over and over and over again before they ever understand anything that's been going on. But okay, so Chris is reacting, and then we're watching him.
Wait a minute, I also just realized, didn't William and Craig's example say that if you use 2 matches to light a flame on a candle, isn't that what he said actually?
Yeah.
And Ahmadinejad then said if you have 2 candles to light a flame, then you have a bigger flame.
Yeah.
Anyway, a little detail, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing that you frequently get from the Dawa guy. So yeah, and that's what actually Chris is responding to. So guys, to explain causal overdetermination, which in the context of the debate is about how can Father, Son, and Holy Spirit all like create or something like that. What is that? That now you've got what? You've got three all causing the same thing. This makes no sense. And Craig's response is, well, you don't understand causal overdetermination. You could have more than one sufficient cause. And his example is, if you took 2 matches, you got a candle, and take 2 matches and you light the candle at the exact same time, either one of those is a sufficient cause. And yet you don't say like each one lit the wick 50%. They both lit it, and each one was completely sufficient to say. So each one is responsible for lighting the wick. You don't say it's like 50-50 or something like that. And likewise with the Trinity, you wouldn't say that the Father is doing a third and the Son is doing a third and the Holy Spirit's doing a third. Anyway, that's the point of what they're talking about. But here's Chris's reaction to Hijab's refutation.
Let's see if this really is true. If the scientific miracle of the candle is a real miracle.
He's doing a powerful experiment.
Or if Hijab was just speaking out of his ass. Let's find out. I am very interested to see if this works. Okay, so we have one match. Let's see how this one does.
Ooh, you see? You see?
So tiny measuring tape. We have about half.
You see? One match. No, me strong than you. One match, like no 2 matches, 3 matches.
We should all make reaction videos in which we test this experiment.
Yeah, we find out if this is actually confirmed by science.
An inch. Roughly half an inch. Now let's try Muhammad's one. Here's Hijab.
I know what you're thinking.
I can't, because we just went through the clip. I can't help it. And I don't know what Chris is thinking. I don't know if he's also thinking. But guys, we just went through the clip where Andrew Wilson does the math on Muhammad. And I don't know because Chris doesn't say one word. He's just measuring the flame and stuff. And there he says, let's measure more. Anyway.
Hijab's flame bigger than my flame. Let's find out. Double the power, double the strength. Let's give it a... Why is that so small? Okay, let's measure Hijab's...
That's what I mean. Like, if he doesn't understand what this sounds like, that's what I mean. I don't know, because you can just be totally deadpan and know what he's saying, or not even realizing what he sounds like he's saying. Let me back this up a little bit. Here we go.
Okay, let's measure Hijab's one. Here we go. It's about half an inch. In fact, they're roughly the same. If anything, this one is slightly bigger, so it looks like
Hijab's flame is smaller. Huh. That's interesting.
Oh, man.
Is smaller.
Oh, boy. All right, here we go.
We've just proved that the scientific miracle of the candle is not true, ladies and gentlemen. Turns out Muhammad Hijab was just speaking out of his ass. Who would have thought? Wait, let me try one more time. Maybe something went wrong. Maybe there's still faith in the scientific miracle of the candle. Let's check. Here we go. Let's try one more time. Gonna blow this one out. Here we go. Again, two matches.
Two matches. Now we have the
Don't
two
mess
matches.
about on this channel. We
So
don't
it's
do
gonna-
the serious.
So, guys, keep in mind this. He's actually performing a correct experiment here because William Lane Craig, again, his point was if you had two matches each lighting the same wick, then each one is a sufficient cause of lighting the wick, and each one could be said to have caused the wick to light up. Hijab's response is, but if you put two flames together, it would be a bigger flame. Okay, if you applied that reasoning to actually make it relevant to what Dr. Craig was saying, namely whether two things could be a sufficient cause of a candle lighting, then you'd have to say, oh, but it will result in a bigger candle flame? Is that so? He's actually performing an experiment to see if this is actually relevant to what Craig said. That's why it's funny. Anyway, here's
Research, like the scientific miracle of the candle, only on this channel.
Only on this channel.
Definitely not on another channel that has basically done the same thing. But
Oh, you see?
okay,
Hmm.
again,
He played Wallahi. You were finished. Let's see. Oh boy.
definitely not on another channel that has basically done the same thing. But
Wallahi, you're
okay,
finished.
again, we have ignition. Here we go.
Oh, you got two candles, two matches.
Alhamdulillah, what is this? The flame is bigger. With Muhammad Hijab's two matches. How is this possible?
And it's funny because this is how this is how the Dawa fans react to anything they're. We're sitting here laughing and stuff, but this is how they'll react to something like, oh, look, ChatGPT, which I just told to give Islamic answers is the proof. Even ChatGPT knows that Islam is true.
And the disbelievers are still denying it.
How can they deny the proof? The proof. So that's exactly how they react. All right, let's watch Chris convert here.
Don't know why I'm French. This is totally legit. Alhamdulillah, it's a miracle. Islam is true, ladies and gentlemen. The miracle of the candle is true. Alhamdulillah. Now I am Muslim. It wasn't the scientific miracles that converted me. It wasn't the one and only preserved Quran that converted me. It was the candle for Muhammad Hijab. This is the story of how I became a Muslim. It is warm in this thing, man. This is totally legit. Alhamdulillah, it's a miracle.
Hey.
Islam is true, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
just wanted to back that up because, hey, Chris, this video is awesome and hilarious, but you got to work on your Dawa voice, man. Listen to this. Listen to his Dawa. Listen to his Dawa Gandhist impression or his Dawa fan impression.
Alhamdulillah, it's a miracle.
That's kind of weak, man.
It's me. Yeah, it's
That's
weak.
the only flaw. That's the only weakness in this otherwise completely awesome video, Chris. It should be. Alhamdulillah, this is a miracle.
It's the proof. It's the proof.
You see, how can the kuffar reject this proof? This is why we have to kill them.
This is totally legit. Alhamdulillah, it's a miracle. Islam is.
No. Gotta work on that impression, Chris.
You know what the funny thing is? The funny thing about all of this is, so he's making this joke video. He might have even been tempted to do this because capturing Christianity. Cameron, the next day he did the same thing. He tried it out. So he made a video in which he lit one candle with one match and the other candle with two matches to show that the flame is the same, but due to the positioning, the angle, whatever it is, the flame on the second one actually initially for a while looks bigger.
Nice.
So there were Muslims in the comment section
You
saying, "Whoa,
see?
it is bigger! It is bigger!
You see?
Expose yourself! It is bigger! This is how Allah shows you the truth." Which is just so ridiculously stupid.
Oh, boy.
I mean, look. Even if the video somehow gave you the impression that the candle flame on the second one is bigger, you should probably think about this a little bit and come to the conclusion after 5 seconds of thinking or of putting the science together that the second one will actually not be bigger. I mean, what do you think will happen if you put like 10 candles together? Do you think you will have 10 matches together? Do you think you will have a flame on a candle that is like ginormous? How far do you think that goes? It's so ridiculously dumb. We are dealing with completely uneducated people.
Are we now? We have Draco here says, David, you got to hyperventilate at the end of your Dawa impression. I'll try to keep that in mind. And Joe Chris says he did it in a British underrated style. And then so I realized I stopped it right before the end of his video. But let's go and see what he closed out with.
It is warm in this thing, man. I'm going to call that a wrap for this.
Okay, he just says. Anyway, so guys, there you have Chris's conversion to Islam. Muhammad Hijab, completely misunderstood. Craig's point, doesn't understand philosophy at all. And this is the proof. This is the new proof that Islam is true and that the Trinity is false. You see?
You see?
Awesome stuff.
And this shows again that Islam is obviously true because we have just demonstrated with this candle that the flame is going to be bigger. That's what Muhammad Hijab was doing the whole time, the whole debate.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to watch that. That's awesome. Couple of super chats. Lol, busted nerd. I don't even know what you're responding to, Ayatollah, but I don't know who you're calling a nerd, either Chris or AP, but it's completely unacceptable. Gabe says, I have the same concordance, AP. I have a Strong's concordance as well. Let me see the cover. I've got one from like 2002 or something like that. Okay, yeah, I have a different color. I have a different cover on mine. My cover is way cooler.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Powerful news. Muslim woman storms into church shouting Allahu Akbar and I'm here to kill the God of the Jews. Happened in London, Istan. Almost no media coverage. That sort of thing has been happening over and over again. You've seen these, right?
What's the
people?
problem?
Yeah, people walk everywhere. France, Germany, UK. Muslims rolling up into churches, doing things, talking trash, and so on. You get can you even imagine the reaction if this happened in reverse? Christians are in Muslim countries who move to Muslim countries, then instantly get the inclination, let me roll up in the mosque and start insulting everybody and insulting the religion.
Wait, what? Muslim woman storms into church and says, I am here to kill the God of the Jews. How does it even... This is so...
If you're trying to make sense of Islam, AP, you're not going to do it. You're not looking in the right place. Don't try to make sense of it, AP. But we'll need to check that out later. You're right. I didn't even see that. You're pointing out there's no coverage of it. I didn't even hear about that, and I follow this stuff all the time. If Henry Winkler was my grandpa, I would die from a cringe attack. What do you even? Oh, if you're saying Henry Winkler now, because he's old and super nice. But if you were saying the Fonz, oh my goodness, that guy, coolest character in TV history. Got cash and love for D Woods YouTube. You are much better than racist AP. That is a good point. That's a good point.
That's a good point. I just saw the video of the woman. Actually, she's on camera. You have to see this. She's insane. Apparently, she goes in there and she's like, "I want to see the one true God. I want to talk about the one true God." And some guy is talking to her in the church about Jesus, and she's like, "Well, show me proof. Give me proof." And she has a hijab and all of that. Eventually, she gets up and gets to the very front and gets the microphone and screams, "Allahu Akbar! Submit to the one true God." Maybe we should look at this sometime.
We'll check. We got to check those out. We could just have one entire show going through all the clips of these guys rolling up. These guys and women now rolling up into churches and the stuff they're saying.
But the funny thing is, like, even when she runs into a church, this Muslim woman, the one thing she mentions is the Jews. I'm here to kill the God of the Jews. I mean, whatever.
Spaceman says, does Daily Wire have the infamous headphone dent? You know what that's about?
What? No.
Does Daily Wire have the infamous headphone dent? Okay, we don't know. I don't know what this is about, but AP says no, so I'm going with no.
I have no idea.
No, spaceman. Go back to space with that question.
That's true.
Mumu says, "Hey, yeah, that's Fonzie's thing. He started the he popularized the thumbs up, which is still popular. Look at this. Look at this. It's even on the screen. Hang on.
You mean this one? You mean this one?
Put it on the screen again, stupid computer. There we go. All right. Fonzie is the one who popularized that. Let's see. David Wood, I love Happy Days and Werther's Originals. That's supposed to be me. I don't need any Werther's Originals. Apologies if this is a duplicate message. YouTube is glitching on my end. Yo, A Pizzle, I fixed your intro from last night. Sent it to you this morning on Twitter in a DM. Peace, love, bacon.
I actually saw it and chuckled and wanted to say thanks, but didn't yet. So
yeah.
Thank you.
AP lacks gratitude.
Yeah.
Ayatollah says, "Two fire make." Here you go. Mo job. Two fire make a big fire.
Two fire strong.
Two fire strong. Hey, following his reasoning, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit would be a bigger God than little weak one flame Allah.
Yeah.
What made Muhammad Hijab think he could debate William Lane Craig? He can't even beat AP and Shmuley with Pierce helping. Of course he did. He's, you go to this lubricants for the sex shop. You see?
Why you shake? Why you shaking?
Why you no? Pierce, why you stuttering? Why you stuttering? Why you stuttering?
To Pierce, he said, "Why are you stuttering?"
When he wasn't stuttering.
And then to Rabbi Shmuley, he said, "Why are you shaking? You got a vibrator in your pocket." And then Pierce is like, "Muhammad, please." And then he said, "I think he's got one of his daughter's vibrators in his pocket." This is the conversation this is the level that he brought this conversation to.
This is Dawah, and you can't stop it, ladies and gentlemen. It's too late to stop it. Mojab.
Yesterday, somebody said no other religion respects women more than Islam, and I just quote tweeted it and said no other restaurant chain respects chickens more than KFC. That has 60,000 likes now.
What? That little tweet you posted?
Yes.
That's pretty funny. See, that's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Ayatollah says, Mojab. Wow, honey, look at how big that flame is. Mojab's wife. That's a 1-inch flame, dear. Sheikh Mike Wingling, you just clowned yourselves, you see. Allah can have 2 right hands and light 4 candles. Your buddy Chris just proved it. Also, Fonzie was a Palestinian.
You see?
Because he's cool.
It always turns out they're all Palestinians, you see.
Candace Owens, did a deep dive today, and you won't be shocked to hear I discovered that the match was invented in 1492 by Henry Matchstein, a Jew, in order to steal night from the Europeans. I'm not saying this is true. I'm just asking questions. Why isn't the media talking about this? About Henry Matchstein?
The media is bullying and trying to shut down everyone who's talking about this. This is why. But I am brave. I am brave. I will not be silenced.
Oh, here you go. Mr. Fonzarelli. Mr. Fonzarelli. I can't do it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Hey, AP. I was like a you, but David Wood, he changed my view. I am born again. Please, Jesus loves you. See? You have people breaking this down to you every single day.
Happy, I was like you, but David Wood, he changed my view. I'm born again. I can't do that. I need to work on my Swedish accent. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. What are you waiting for, man?
I'm waiting for you to convert.
You see?
Look how easy it was for Chris to convert. Tezbot says, I was recently criticized for saying we should be Islam aware, not Islamophobic. Am I wrong to see fundamental issues with Islam? Appreciate there are many good Muslims. Good to see you guys as always on X. Am I wrong to see fundamental issues with Islam? No.
Yeah, very wrong. This is I would suggest keeping Islamophobic comments out of the chats and the super chats here. We don't want to foster an environment of hate. We want to be always very sensitive and aware of people's religious feelings and be respectful toward them, no matter what kind of feelings they are and no matter where they lead. So
yeah, so
in your face.
Yeah, just to be clear, Tezbot, when you see people going around, we will subjugate the world and we will marry little girls. I actually thought about doing this show on there were two. I have no idea why the LA Times is actually speaking up on anything, but there were two articles almost back to back. One was on concerns about legal changes on the issue of child marriage. Now that some areas are becoming more conservative Muslim, and they're pointing out that as people become more devoutly conservative Muslim, all of a sudden they want child marriage back and so on. So there was that. And then there's also an article about how temporary marriage is it's becoming this huge thing in Indonesia, where guys from like Saudi Arabia and stuff, they understand you could go to Indonesia, get temporary marriages and stuff, which is prostitution and so on. And no one is able to stop it. And is talking about all these vulnerable teenage girls and young women who are basically in a position where for whatever reason they end up having to take care of their family or their parents or something like this, and if they can't find a well-to-do husband, they have to turn to prostitution, aka mutta marriage and stuff. But anyway, the LA Times article is actually like they're talking about the Shia perspective and the Sunni perspective and so on. And anyway, it's just crazy that someone actually reports on this, but it's interesting stuff that's happening. So
that's interesting.
If hijab can't understand, you can imagine the general Muslim population. If you all break it down and use simple terminology, many would understand. God bless. Yeah, that is an issue. Look, if hijab doesn't understand, Craig's response to an objection because he doesn't understand, a basic philosophical principle or something like that. Like, what are the odds that his fans, who are significantly dumber than he is, would have any clue what's going on? And so all they'll be listening to is, oh, look, hijab strong, him strong. Look at him say, two flame make big flame. Two flame make big flame. Him right. Two flame make big flame. Oh, Craig, the Trinity is refuted.
Trinity is destroyed. It's destroyed.
The Trinity has been humiliated by the power of Muhammad's ignorance. David, AP looks like Pedro Pascal. Or does Pedro Pascal look like AP?
I don't even see it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either. It's sad that Candace has the third largest podcast on Spotify. She does. It really says a lot about where we are, doesn't it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, earlier somebody posted a screenshot of I actually wanted to check that myself, but it's on Spotify, the top largest. Wanted to check the top list of podcasts here. So Joe Rogan is number one. Number two is apparently Tucker Carlson.
Yep, Tucker Carlson his podcast is in fact number two.
And Candace is number three. Actually, I want to check that myself now. Continue.
This is powerful stuff. So, what the heck is Spotify? Is that just for podcasts? I still don't even know what a podcast is, guys. What's the difference between a podcast and like just a live stream like we're doing?
You don't know what Spotify is?
I know it's something. Joe Rogan went there from YouTube.
It's just the most popular music app in the whole world. Everybody around the world is listening music daily throughout Spotify. They're also listening to podcasts through Spotify, and some people are even using it to listen to audiobooks and so on. That's what it is.
Yeah. What's the difference between, like, if I make an hour-long show, what's the difference between that and a podcast? Is there a difference, or do you just call it something different?
I think a podcast is different because it is just done on a regular basis, like a weekly show, for example, or a daily show. Is consistent. Has
We
a
do
topic,
shows every Saturday and Sunday, so
is usually in audio form, but also nowadays accompanied with video form and so on.
Okay.
So that's it.
all right.
Yeah, I'm checking it right now. Number 1, Joe Rogan Experience. Number 2, Tucker Carlson. Number 3, Candace Owens. Number 4, I don't even want to say it.
Say it.
Talk Tour with Haley Welch. Society.
Talk to us. I don't know who that is.
Society. Yeah, you should count yourself lucky now.
Haley Welch.
That's that woman who went viral recently.
The Hawk Tua chick. Yeah, I looked her up because everyone kept saying it, and then I was like, "Who the heck is this?" I didn't even know how to spell it, and then I found out who it was.
These are the number.
That person has a popular podcast just for saying that.
She became famous for one single reason, which is that she responded to a good sexual move that makes men crazy whenever you do it, and then she responded with this, and that's why she went viral. That's why she became famous. Great talent, by the way. Great contribution to society, and then created her own podcast out of that. Which is, I guess, there is one aspect of it that I have to that you can say, okay, at least she didn't go down the worst path, because often when people get famous for these for things like these, they go down even worse paths to make themselves famous and to make a career. At least she didn't go down those paths. She started doing a podcast, but still, this is what people like. Not top 5 podcasts here. Except for, I would say Joe Rogan is not bad. I like Joe Rogan.
Joe's pretty cool.
And, he's a cool guy. But the other is Tucker Carlson, worst source of information on the right. Candace, even worse, plus horrible person. And then the other is just garbage. I don't know.
I've noticed there's a pattern to everyone you hate. They're not Turkish. Kawinky dink. Kawinky dink. Hey,
I can refute you right now. What about Chunk Uyghur?
Oh, that's my. I stand corrected. Hey,
Yes.
when you point out the top podcasts right now, I was about to show what Macklemore said about America. We were about to expose and humiliate him for his horrible, horrible words on America. But then you have to go and say that, and it's like, gosh, man, things do suck right now.
Isn't the guy just trying to get traction again because nobody listens to his music anymore or something like that?
You don't know that, man. I only know one song by him ever, and that was...
Which one? I don't even know.
It was Downtown. And
I know there was one song.
He had this other guy. Downtown was very popular because it had the other guy singing. He's going, downtown, downtown. The entire song was about him buying a moped and so on. But it was super cool because he brought back like Melly Mel and Big Daddy Kane to rap in it. And anyway, it was a pretty good show because I saw it on I saw him do it on some talk show, like, I don't know, Tonight Show or something like that.
There was one song that everybody was listening to a while ago, maybe a decade ago or so.
Downtown.
And I was so freaking sick of hearing it everywhere. And it was just, I just wanted to, whenever I heard it, I wanted to just, kill everyone in the room, but never did it. So, yeah.
All right. So now we have Macklemore or Macklemore, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Macklemore or Macklemore or Macklemore was at some sort of concert, and this was trending this morning, him sharing his thoughts on America. Here we go.
Straight up, say it. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna stop you. F America.
The interesting part there, the interesting and disturbing part there is not Macklemore saying F America, it's the crowd's reaction that they all just cheer for it. Let's get that. And then there's another clip of like afterwards when he keeps talking. 1 second.
Stop you.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, America.
The people cheering for F America right there. And I believe that was in Seattle. And let's go ahead and get there's no real, I mean, it is video, but someone's basically recording in the dark, but they have clear audio of what he's saying afterwards as he explains himself. So here we go. Here's Macklemore's comments.
Macklemore.
Yeah, America.
Get out then.
Look, I just want to say one thing real quick. Someone asked me, a couple hours ago back here, like, how did you get involved in the movement?
AP's answer is he's striving for relevance. He's trying to regain relevance. But I don't know. Macklemore's may have been making a difference for a long time, AP. You don't know. Anyway.
And I didn't know before. I didn't know.
Someone just asked me a couple hours ago, how'd you get involved? And I didn't know. But now I know.
I didn't know. And we were on tour. October 7th happens and I start paying attention and I start learning. I start listening. I start going back.
So October 7th happened. Then you started learning, started investigating, started listening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
And learning the history.
This
issue that was deemed so complicated. Oh, that's complicated. You don't want to go there. No, it's actually not that complicated.
It's not complicated. This whole, peace in the Middle East, battle between Islam and the Jews and so on. It's not complicated. Very easy. Very easy.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like to me like somebody in the 1940s says, "I wasn't aware, and how I started. Kristallnacht happened in Germany, and that's when I started researching, and it all seemed complicated before, but it wasn't that complicated. And now I'm all for the Nazis because I think they deserve it."
Listen to what he says. One, you got the crowd cheering.
It's actually not.
It's not complicated.
It's a genocide. Absolutely. And it has been since 1948. Don't get it twisted.
You heard it there, folks. Macklemore says there's been an ongoing genocide since 1948. What's happened?
The only genocide in human history where the victims of a genocide are suffering from exponential growth, from population boom.
Yeah, you look at the population growth, it goes like this, ladies and gentlemen, which, as AP pointed out, is very weird because historically, when you have actual genocides, if you look at the Jewish population of Europe during World War II, you see it plummet. Have they even recovered their numbers yet after that? I think did they recently pass? Because
barely. It's still, the effects have lasted until today for so long.
Yeah, in other words, the global Jewish population dropped so significantly during an actual genocide that it either hasn't fully recovered yet or it recovered pretty recently. I'm talking like the pre-World War II numbers of Jews on the planet. So that's what an actual if you look at the Armenian population during the Armenian genocide, you see the population plummet. So this is the only genocide in history that I'm aware of where the result of an endless genocide for many decades now has been exponential rapid growth. It's just a weird situation, man.
It hasn't recovered, by the way.
Hasn't.
Prior to the Holocaust, before World War II, the global Jewish population was around 16.6 million. In the aftermath, 6 million Jews were killed. Today, the global Jewish population is estimated around 15.3 million.
So they have never recovered. The genocide that went on, World War II, was so successful at killing so many Jews that the global population still hasn't recovered. That's what an actual genocide looks like.
80 freaking years. And the population growth has still not recovered since the Holocaust. That's how bad a genocide actually is. This is why it is called a Holocaust. This is why it is called a great catastrophe, the worst thing to think of for a population. It was meant to destroy the entirety of the population. The Germans made it very clear that their aim was to eradicate, to wipe out the entire Jewish population in Europe, and if they succeed after the war, to expand, also go into the Arab world and everything that is under the British dominance, and wipe out all Jews in those regions as well. They were already making plans with the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who was also the leader of the Palestinian Arabs at the time. So those very people who were supposedly being invaded and replaced and whatever were all out working with Hitler to wipe out the Jews. I'm sorry, there's just, if you are today a free Palestine activist and you go around accusing Israel of genocide, and especially if you say something as absurd and messed up like this, thinking you are actually doing a good thing, genocide since 1948, you are a Nazi, okay? You're a Nazi. You are similar to the Nazis, very much. You are similar to the Nazis. You are a useful idiot to Nazi ideas, to the Nazi ideology. You are on the side of people who actually openly and willingly want to genocide the Jews, who hope for another Holocaust, such as Hamas, Hezbollah, and so on. They openly believe in eradicating the Jews and that this is the eventual final solution, and so on. This is basically where you are. These people are evil. And honestly, as a non-Jew, I will gladly say it. The world would be a better place without all of those people. Gosh.
Now you're starting to sound like you're calling for genocide. What the heck is wrong with you? Yeah. So guys, here's what's crazy, guys. Macklemore could have offered some sort of legitimate criticism and said, hey, I think Israel should be more careful as they're going after Hamas jihadis or something like that. Instead, it's been a genocide since 1948. Okay, now you sound like an idiot who doesn't know the meaning of genocide. Genocide, you're trying to wipe out a population or a significant part of a population to get rid of that ethnic group. Going after terrorists is not genocide. Collateral civilian casualties is not genocide. Genocide is trying to wipe out the group just because that's group. It doesn't mean going after terrorists and so on. And when you're a rapper and you say, but this is a genocide, you sound like a freaking idiot. And the fact that people cheer when you say it tells us a lot about how screwed up things are right now.
I tell you, people like this guy who simply jump on the current trend to whatever, get recognition again, or whatever their motive is, they would never ever even dare have a proper conversation or discussion or debate about this topic of whether Israel has been committing a genocide since 1948 with any knowledgeable person. In fact, not just this guy, not just others. I haven't seen a single person, not a single person, who goes around right now saying this is genocide. Israel is committing genocide. Israel has been committing genocide. Israel has no right to exist. They don't want Palestinians to exist. I have seen exactly zero people of this sort go around and actually have discussions and debates with those who say the opposite. Not a single person. Point me at one.
Wait,
Point me at something.
are you saying
I challenge all
are
of
you
these-
ready to debate Macklemore?
Well, they'll be like debating. I don't know. My kefir on the ground here.
What if the debate has to be in rap format?
I would do it. I would challenge any of these inbred people. Cenk Uygur, Candace Owens, that Smith guy, the neo-Nazis, the Islamists. None of these people can actually sit down together in a debate and explain to you how exactly in the world, without being challenged, how exactly in the world Israel has been committing a genocide since 1948. I'll tell you one thing. Had the Arab side not fought, had the Arab side not attacked repeatedly, there would be no conflict right now. Israel wouldn't be fighting anybody. They're talking about, oh, you can't trust Israel. They're just acting like this and this. They actually want to wipe out the Palestinian population. Okay, cool. If that's your theory, great, fantastic. However, Israel would have never had the chance to do any of these things had your side not began the aggressions every single freaking time. Every single time.
You are sounding like a German right now. I like this live stuff, ND says. Like AP's live rants? If someone as racist as Robert Spencer was able to see the light, you can do it, AP. Hashtag she was 6 years old, justice for Aisha. If people don't get the joke about Robert Spencer, there was an actual white supremacist named Richard Spencer, and people see Robert Spencer and think they're talking about the same guy, and so on.
I find it funny how Robert Spencer gets so annoyed with it every single time when somebody confuses their names. But I just like to joke about it when I talk to him.
Solaria says, finished Surah 74. You see, Surah 74 is finished. Next, it's time to do Surah 1. Surah 1 will soon be finished. You see. Can't listen to Joe Rogan anymore. Thinks Jesus was a mushroom. Doesn't believe in the moon landing. And his stance on Israel has me cringing. Yeah, I've never, apart from the one where they had the Dorsey from Twitter on there, I don't think I've ever watched a full Joe Rogan show, even back when he was on YouTube. I would just watch occasional clips of him saying something. But I have to say, based on a lot of the clips I've seen, I like Joe. I don't know if he has stupid views.
The thing about him is he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's somebody who genuinely actually cares about what is right and what is wrong. He wants to find out. He wants to know. The bad side is that he is like one of those people who will, I don't know, in family gatherings, your uncle who will sit there and relay the latest things that somebody told him without properly analyzing them.
Okay.
That's basically
so he's basically, in other words, AP, there's a difference between a good guy who absorbs some dumb ideas and just a bad guy who's spouting complete nonsense. Yeah.
Like Kenneth Owens is blatantly evil, I would say. Honestly, Joe Rogan is a good guy.
This is how genocides start, ladies and gentlemen. She doesn't agree with me. Looking forward to Talk Tua's reversion to Islam. Ayatollah here says Iraq Limor. Iraq Limor. Genocide is the act of tripling the amount of population. Yeah, that's what genocide is in the minds of the Macklemore's fans. AP, what sources should I check out to understand the history behind the Israeli-Palestine conflict?
Wait! People were saying that the song that I mean is probably Thrift Shop, and I just searched for it and listened to it. Yes, that is the song. Oh, whenever I heard that song back then, I wanted to.
Wait, is that what he always does? Because he did a show about buying a moped, and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. He just made a song about a random thing. But if he's got a song about thrift store, is that what he does? He makes raps about mundane, normal things.
I don't know, but it just makes me nauseous just thinking about that song again, because it makes me remember all the 50,000 times that I heard it in a store. What sources should I check out to understand the history behind the Israel-Palestine? If you really want to go into it very deeply, I would suggest Benny Morris's one of Benny Morris's books. The problem is that he's a serious historian whose books on the conflict are extremely detailed and extremely long, but also very, very good and very detailed. One of those would be the 1948 history of the Israel-Arab War, and then more from him. Also would suggest anything by Dr. Einat Wilf, to be honest. And just, I don't know. There's too much.
So, if you had to pick one, what would it be? If someone had to read one.
Benny Morris's one of Benny Morris's most popular or most recent books, I would say.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Macklemore
is 1948, A History of the First Israel-Arab War.
Macklemore succeeded in making normal rap sound even cornier than Christian rap with his career. What a gift. Powerful. Sounding like a French pimp from back in the day. That's what he sounds like. To be honest, writing Hezbollah is kind of difficult after Beepergate, so Macklemore is pretty brave and stunning for his comments. Very trans ally. Funny. The fact that Israel does not unalive the Palestinians that are Israelis, the fact that the only reason 40,000 innocent Palestinians are unalive now is because of the massacre, not Israel, not genocide. Yeah, and Macklemore had one thing correct. It's that, the gist of what's going on right now is not terribly complicated. You can say, bunch of people cross border, slaughter a bunch of people, rape bunch of people, take bunch of hostages, go back across border, then other group come and try to get their people back and try to find people who slaughtered all their people. That is not terribly complicated. What's it? An AP rap battle. Bro, I'd pay big cash to see that. Yeah, I'd love to see that too. Look at this atheist defending Jews. You see, he's a neo-Nazi. My logic is flawless. That is powerful logic. Seeing Candace Owens debate the IDF, Jonathan at Pierce, I get how she thinks. Candace's 4-year-old son, Mommy, I tied my shoes all by myself today. Her, oh, so why couldn't you tie Daddy's hiking boots last year? That's actually a good point from what she was saying. Guys, she was saying, so they're saying, hey, you did this precise attack on Hezbollah. Why didn't you do that against Hamas? And she doesn't understand completely different situations. But yeah, this would be it. I tied my shoes. Why couldn't you tie Daddy's hiking boots last year? You see? Macklemore on YouTube, Jewish rapper response. It sounds like that's an actual video. D. Wood, what you think of Christians being in interreligious marriages with non-Christians, Jews, Hindus, etc.? Should Christians respect non-Christian partners' faith? I mean, that
illegal.
Yeah. So you do have in the Bible situations that arise. I wouldn't recommend going out and marrying if you're a Christian, going out and seeking out a non-Christian or something like that. But it is actually raised in the Bible. What if like someone in a marriage like converts to Christianity, or someone leaves Christianity or something like that? What do you do? Paul said if the unbelieving partner is willing to continue, then go ahead and continue. So I wouldn't have any. I wouldn't want to give any advice beyond the Bible there.
Alhamdulillah.
Powerful. The meek. The way people twist the facts in this weird anti-Semitic way is so odd to me that it looks like evidence that Satan is real. I brought that up in a discussion over on Visagrad when they interviewed me and so on. It's like it seems demonic. There's something that seems demonic about it. And again, guys, before you, I'm not saying you can criticize Israel all you want. There's this weird thing where there could be 1 million people doing something and one Jew does something and they will go, you see, the Jews, this is why they have to be. And it's like, you've got an issue, man. You've got an issue with Jews. And that happens over and over and over again. And you see it all day, every day. And so, yeah, there is something weird. And you think, okay, what would actually make sense of this? I don't know. Some demonic obsession with it would make sense of things.
You remember how I told you about how I'm a little bit confused spiritually after when we were coming back from Israel. I told you on the plane that this is very, very wild, and it really makes me think in strange ways and confuses me spiritually, because it doesn't make sense to me that such a population that is so nice and so kind and developing and all that is vilified around the world, painted it like the devil in such a hateful fashion. It's just incredible, because I went to lots of countries around the world, and I honestly think that these people are something different in their kindness and their closeness and
EP says they're chosen,
their openness and all that, and it can't be because of the way they are that people hate them. You know, it seems like, wow, it almost looks like there is something worse in the world, something worse out there, which attracts all this hate. I don't know. You remember I sent you a message a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That was funny. I told you to share it. You're like, no.
I sent you a message a few weeks ago, which was about Jews. I said, oh yeah, here. I said to you, you know what's weird? This morning I was thinking about the way things look in the world for Jews right now. Then I thought everything would be okay because God is on their side. Then I wondered how that thought came to my mind, considering that I don't even believe in God. As I thought about that, I still felt that it's true that God is on their side. Not sure how this makes sense. Never happened. But I really felt that way that day, and I just shared that with you. And
y'all catch that? Y'all catch that, everyone? It's AP. It's AP. No longer genuine bona fide atheist. He's in the agnostic category, but he's thinking, such bad things going on, and everyone's going after the Jews. All right, it's okay. God can take care of things. Wait a minute. I don't believe in God. I'm agnostic.
Yeah, it's wild.
Pretty funny stuff. This Week in Jihad is pretty racist and fat-phobic. Yeah, Robert does really make fun of fat jihadis. It's pretty messed up. David's wife, he does. He's really mean. David's wife catches him watching Mike Winger. No, that's the angel Gabriel. That's exactly what I would say. David, were you watching Mike Winger? No, it was the angel Gabriel I was watching. Guys, if people don't understand that joke, you haven't been watching for a while. But Muhammad would have special meetings behind a curtain with his companion Dia Al-Kalbi, and when people would be like, "Hey, what you doing behind the curtain with Dia Al-Kalbi?" He's like, "No, it's the angel Gabriel. That's who I was meeting with." Yeah, sure, dude. Hey, all right. So that's Macklemore. That's Macklemore. It's funny because I have all these little short video clips and stuff like that I want to go through before we got to the Fonz. But here's another one. AP.
Yes.
So earlier I saw that the IRS union had endorsed Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I was like, why would you brag about that? I've never met anyone in my life who likes the IRS. It's an interesting situation because you could be endorsed by groups that some people don't like, but other people do. Like if you said I was endorsed by, this police union or something like that. Well, there are lots of people who like police, and there are some people who don't like police. And so, it depends on who your target audience is. But the IRS, there's no one who likes the IRS. Anyway, Elon, that was my reaction. And then Elon, right after that, shared this clip by the redhead libertarian. I've seen that name. I don't recall ever seeing any videos by her, but she was reacting to this endorsement for Kamala Harris, and it was my reaction.
It's a great honor that I am endorsing Kamala Harris. But Josie, why? What position, what endorsement sent you over?
So, breaking, 11 million views. It just happened. Breaking, the IRS union just announced they are endorsing Kamala Harris. Let's go. It's the let's go that cracked me up. Wait, you're like, oh yeah, we finally got the endorsement. All right, let's check out this chick's reaction.
Tax collector.
You're getting endorsed by the tax collectors. Oh boy. Oh boy. Tax collectors are endorsing Kamala.
Tax collectors. To a country that was built on rebelling against tax.
Yeah, it's funny. You go back a couple of centuries, like, what? You're raising our tax 2 cents? War! Someone has to die. Now, the tax collectors are endorsing Kamala Harris. What?
Who likes the IRS? Seriously,
No one. Not one person. I've met 0 people in my entire life who like the IRS.
As if we grow up watching Robin Hood.
She said, as if we didn't grow up watching Robin Hood. Taxation is theft.
Dismantle.
this is a good.
Put this out. They put this out as a feature and not a bug. I thought we were being with. They did that with Dick Cheney.
She's pointing out, I thought they screwed up when they had Dick Cheney endorse Kamala. Now it's the IRS. So you got Dick Cheney and the IRS.
They did it with the IRS.
Man.
As if we're not going to go throw tea in the harbor.
It's right. Tax collector shows up at my door.
And then Putin.
And Putin endorses.
endorses Kamala.
Yes, Vladimir Putin did endorse Kamala Harris for U.S. president. So,
Who is this woman?
so she's the red-headed libertarian. That's all I know. I know zero else about her.
What is happening?
That's the thing. She closed out with what is happening. That's the idea, right? It's hey, look who's endorsing who. Like, what? How's that helping you? Like, in other words, long story short, which is basically what she said at the beginning, like, who anywhere in the US, what voter was just swayed by the IRS's endorsement of a candidate, right? Like, who was like, I'm kind of on the fence here. I don't know where to go. Kind of, like I like golf. So Trump's got some golf courses. I like cackling, So Kamala, I don't know. They're both looking good. They're both looking good here. Where do I go? I just don't know, man. I'll find out. What? The IRS? The IRS union endorsed Kamala Harris? What? The tax collectors like her? Well, I love being taxed. I want to be taxed more. So I'm going with whoever the tax collectors endorse.
That's a fantastic strategy, man. Wow.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. All right, AP. Just one more thing before we watch this Fonzie debate with Bill Maher. One more thing. Just one more thing. And this is...
Sorry, that's why. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Okay. That's how he saw it.
That's pretty based.
Okay. AP. This is on you, but you don't know how yet. We have a tweet from the Thinking Atheist. So it's totally going to be brilliant because, one, he's an atheist, so he's all about science.
Yeah.
But he has specified that he is the Thinking Atheist. And if we know anything about the atheist channels, as long as you have thinking, rational, or skeptic in your name, in your brand name, we know you're super smart and super based.
That's Seth Andrews you're talking about, man. Have some respect.
That's who this is? That's who the Thinking Atheist is? So here's the tweet today, AP.
Yes.
This is from the Thinking Atheist at Thinking Atheist. And he's responding to and refuting the arguments of theists. And so he refutes the cosmological argument, which, as he has listed it here, here's the cosmological argument, ladies and gentlemen. It goes like this. Everything has a creator. That's premise one. Premise one is everything has a creator. Premise two is God is that creator. And then I don't know if this is supposed to be another premise or the conclusion, but God does not have a creator. And then he responds, your solution fails when it violates its own premise. Okay, so I guess the conclusion, which he's calling the solution, God does not have a creator, fails because it violates its own premise. The premise is that everything has a creator. Now, pop quiz for everyone who's watching. Everyone who's watching. Is there a fallacy in the Thinking Atheist's response? If so, what is that fallacy? Keep your pie hole shut, AP. Testing everyone.
I'm gonna blurt it out. No. Okay.
All right. We're going to see if people... I actually... we should go through fallacies regularly. Not all of them, because lots of... there are tons of fallacies. You don't need to know all of them. You don't need to know most of them. But there are I would say 5 to 7 fallacies that everyone needs to know because they keep happening over and 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 over again.
You know what? I think fallacy would be a nice name for a girl.
Yeah. Why doesn't this guy change his name to the fallacious atheist?
Fallacia. That's also a good name.
Hey, no, it wouldn't be. Quit being weird. All right, guys. So what's the fallacy here? Stepping into Grace says, yes, there is a fallacy. There is a fallacy. We've got Ryan Kim here saying, straw man from hell.
Yeah, the very first line is fallacious. The very, very first line, without even getting to anything else.
Yeah. So to be clear, you're not saying the cosmological argument is fallacious. You're saying that the Thinking Atheist is fallacious in his representation of it, right?
Yeah, I would say that that the way this is represented, the first line here is already misrepresenting the argument for God.
Yeah, guys, so this is called a straw man. Straw man fallacy is where you don't actually attack the person's actual argument. You misrepresent what the argument is and then attack your own misrepresentation. So, matter of fact, here, yeah, a lot of people have seen it. Someone else says straw man. At least, yes, it's at least a straw man. In other words, you could point out other problems with this, but that would be the main one. The main one. In other words, I'll give you an example. I've seen hundreds of times. I've seen Muslims like in comments and so on, but I've even seen Muslims who are presenting and arguing things, and even in debates occasionally, you'll have Muslim dawah guys, and they'll say, hey, I asked my Christian friend why he believes that Jesus is God. And the Christians say, because Jesus has no father, so Jesus must be God. And when the Christian says that Jesus must be God because he has no father, I say, ha, but Adam had no father. And then all the Muslims go, oh, alhamdulillah, so brilliant, such a brilliant refutation, so powerful. And what's the problem? The problem is I've never heard any Christian in my life make that claim.
Yeah.
It's a made up claim, right? We have actual arguments for the deity of Christ. You make up a fake argument for the deity of Christ, and then you respond to your own fake argument that no Christian has ever used, and you say, haha, I've refuted their case. That's a straw man. So think about an actual straw man. Instead of like if in a battle or a fight or something like this, you went out and fought someone or attacked someone or something like that. But instead of doing that, you like built a man out of straw that kind of looked like the guy you're attacking, and then recorded a video of yourself attacking what kind of looked like this guy, but it's an actual man made of straw. You're not attacking your actual opponent. That's what the straw man fallacy is. And so what's the problem with this? Starts off, his representation of the cosmological argument is
it's also the thing about Jesus and the response from Muslims is also that you could say that on a level, so Jesus not having a father but a mother, but no father, no human father, could be considered a hint at the divinity of Jesus, or his sonship, the Son of God. However, you can't compare that to Adam and Eve. that's a false equivalent. Adam would have no father and no mother. It's because he's the first human. That's not the same thing.
There was no one else to produce him. Then Eve, if God is going to create Eve, you either create from Adam or you create Eve separately, and so on. By the time you get to Jesus, you have a perfectly normal method of reproduction and so on. And so the question would arise, so you can connect all this in Christian theology to the deity of Christ, but to act like that's our argument and that this is the refutation of the argument, it's all a straw man. Like this, saying that the cosmological argument begins with everything has a creator. What's the problem with this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've never heard anyone start off a cosmological argument with everything has a creator. No, there's two problems with it. One, you'd say it's not everything has a cause, and it's not everything has a creator. There are two problems in there. One, a typical cosmological argument would start with something like, everything that begins to exist must have a cause. You wouldn't even say creator at that point. You'd have to argue that it's a creator, because a creator is a personal agent. It's someone doing it. Things can be caused without actually being caused by a person, a creator. You'd have to make that argument. So the actual argument would start with something like, everything that begins to exist must have a cause. Premise 2 would be, the universe began to exist, and then the conclusion, therefore the universe has a cause. And so you'd make that argument, and then once you conclude that the universe has a cause, you'd start making an argument about what the cause of the universe has to be like, and you'd have to argue that it would be a creator. But that would be the actual argument. Here, starting off with, this is what the theists say. They say everything has a creator, but I can refute it by saying, does God have a creator? You would have to say. Guys, this is embarrassingly terrible, obvious straw man. And the disturbing part is that, look at the bottom, 1,800 likes, 1,800 likes of that. In other words, there were 1,800 people say, "Whoa, great refutation of people who believe in God," and start arguing by saying everything has a creator, which again, I've never heard anyone start with. In other words, if a Christian were to present that argument, other Christians would say, "Hey, you can't start off your argument with everything has a creator. That's assuming a bunch of things that you're ultimately trying to prove." And what's amazing is after all these years, these are still like common. It's still common to see this. And hey, check this out. So this channel, The Thinking Atheist, very popular. Look at this. 117.2 thousand followers. What kind of people would follow that? Hey, look at that. Followed by Mrs. Apostate, Repentant, and Ridvan Idemir Apostate. Oh my goodness. This is how you knew who this guy was, Seth Andrews. You knew it as soon as I said thinking atheist. You're like, I only know one thinking atheist, and that's Seth Andrews.
Exactly like that. No, but I know the guy, and I also had a conversation with him a long time ago. He's actually a very, very nice person. Very nice person.
What's up with these very nice people who are, I'm the skeptic of this, and I'm the thinking this, and the rational this. And you say, okay, why don't you go ahead and respond to some arguments? And they completely misrepresent the arguments. What's going on with that, AP?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's weird. What I don't understand is like,
they're very fine people on both sides. So
again, yes, it is. Again, if you're claiming to be the champions of reason and logic and science and so on, you say, okay, respond to your opponent's argument, and that's what you say. You instantly launch into logical fallacies and so on. Like, how do you with a straight face say you're the champion of reason and logic after that? I don't know. Because, I mean, that's pretty... If I saw that from a regular atheist with 2 followers who is like a 14-year-old, I would still think that's bad. For a popular atheist to say it, I can't say it's weird because I see it all the time. I think it's weird that I see it all the time.
I just find it offensive when people claim to be the champion of reason and logic, because I am the champion of reason and logic.
Yeah, I know. We are.
Yeah, true.
All right, guys, let's take a couple of super chats, and then we're going to jump into this debate with the Fonz. It's not terribly long because it's a section of a longer thing, and they have a discussion about this. But again, it's not 2 people like screaming at each other like you see with Cenk and Mohammed Hijab and Rabbi Shmuley and things like that. It's 2 calm people discussing a difference of view and being nice about it. It's refreshing. Joan Peters from Time Immemorial is good source material on the Middle East conflict. Unfortunately, it's out of print, but you can find used copies. I'm not familiar with that, AP. You ever heard of that? Joan Peters?
Sounds familiar. That's all I know.
We are not familiar with that. We can neither confirm nor deny the truth of that comment. Here's Issa. Issa says, I love peace, but we need a real path to it. That's pretty darn commonsensical. A real path. People want peace, and people offer, here's how you get to peace. And it's usually something insanely stupid that would never in a million years work. Yeah, real path to peace.
I will just maintain that there is no peace that you can possibly find by denying the facts, by denying the truth, the underlying problems. There is no peace that you can find by making temporary ceasefires, by saying, let's just stop fighting. Let's just stop fighting. Yes, okay, your side will stop fighting. The other side will prepare for the next fight. You have to notice, you have to recognize the underlying facts, such as I know Isa is not part of this, such as the overwhelming Islamic belief of considering Jews subhuman and believing in their eventual extermination. As long as that exists, and I'm sorry to say to Jews as well, as long as that exists, and you don't recognize it, you will not solve the problem. Jews need to recognize it foremost. Israel needs to recognize it foremost. And people need to recognize it. We can't just... I see so many people talk about, oh, no, this conflict has nothing to do with the religion. It's because of the history. No. The religion is at the core of this conflict. And if you don't see it, then no wonder you can't solve it.
And if you don't see it, then it isn't real.
Alhamdulillah.
It's the ostrich approach. Weddy here says, just pray for Jerusalem. Tezbot says, have a terrible cold at the moment. I blame the Jews. You see? That's what I do when I have a cold. David Goliath says, asked a Muslim if he was alive during Mo's time and Muhammad wanted to marry his sister, would he be okay? He said he would be an honor to be the Prophet's brother-in-law. Yeah, even if my sister was only 6, it would be such an honor for my Prophet to bang my little sister. Weird stuff, man. Weird stuff. Student asks Masab, why you say war might be needed for peace? Play video link in live chat 56 to 58 where he summarizes the reply. Goosebumps. We will check that out. Matter of fact, they've been going back and forth. I don't know what actually happened. They've been going, Masab challenged Mohammed Hijab to a debate. He said, hey, I'm here in the UK. Let's have a debate. And looks like they were trying to set something up with Pierce. I don't know if it's actually going to happen. I think Hijab would find a way to weasel out of it. But I think Hijab also feels comfortable knowing he can kind of like steamroll over Pierce trying to maintain order. So he knows Pierce is kind of a weak moderator if someone's going to be running his mouth and so on. So he might actually want to, hey, I'll go in there for a shouting match and I'll be super popular. Hey, face the facts.
I messaged with him, with Mossab, because he messaged me before about Mohammed Hijab when he was talking about him, and I messaged him to about this issue. He said to me in his fashion, he said, "No worries, I will handle him." He said. Okay.
I think it'll be good, even though English is second or third language for him and stuff like this. He's still pretty brutal and on point in debates. So we would love for this debate to happen, and we would love to watch it and review it. What's up?
I know what Mohammed Hijab will do. He will try to do what he always does with these with such confrontations. He will try to attack him personally, dig out personal things. Then he will play into the whole mindset of Middle Eastern people by calling him a traitor and talking about his family and so on. This is the kind of stuff that he will do.
I think Mossab would be pretty brutal too. I think I'd like to see it. Pre-Islamic Iranians used to be great friends of Jews and even tried to help them against Romans in establishing a Jewish state in 614. Such a tragedy. Iran can get better, though. If you want to see progress anywhere in the Middle East, Iran looks like it's really, really close to having a lot of rapid progress. They can get their stupid mullahs out of the way. AP, check out song by Petra, Whole World. Got to check out that song, AP. The song is called Whole World by Petra.
I'm checking it out right now.
Hey, we got from Robin Hood himself. And that redheaded libertarian grew up watching that. I'm starting to believe D Wood and voice triggering AP in true fashion for the diagnosed sociopath. What do you mean? Not triggering AP.
I've never been triggered in my life.
Support my friend. Kamala could get endorsed by KKK and people would still vote for her. That's the pro-Hamas group and the liberals now. Unfortunately, that's the reality.
With a little twist, this is totally reasonable. The KKK could say that they believe that there's currently a genocide going on, and they think that
they would be the heroes.
That only Kamala can handle this, and they are with the Palestinians, and then this would be even the leftists would be like, yeah, thanks for agreeing.
We actually saw that where who was it? Was it Sneeko and Jake Shield? I don't remember exactly who, but it was several people meeting with David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the KKK, and it's like we saw it with Bin Laden, we saw it with AP's hero Adolf and stuff. Like all of a sudden, these guys would be like, "Oh, this person is a hero. He's actually been misrepresented, and he's a hero." It would actually be funny if like that happened with I mean, not really funny, but it would be fun to talk about if that actually happened with like the KKK were actually the good guys because they didn't like Jews.
But you're right. Suleiman Ahmed had it was Suleiman Ahmed and Sneeko. They together met David Duke.
Yeah.
And there was a photo, and they also said they recorded a podcast with him, which they will publish. I think they never published it, possibly because of the backlash.
They'd be letting the cat out of the bag too quickly.
Yeah.
Huh. Trump. I'm going to work to reduce government tax and inflation rates. Harris, lol, people's money go burn into our pockets. What are you laughing at? Oh, you got the cackling down. John Mason, that's what Ali Dawa did with contingency versus AP.
That was such an embarrassment.
And that's why you never see Ali Dawa debate anyone ever. The triggered atheist. Yeah. Change it from the thinking atheist to the triggered atheist. I found a hadith which instructs Muslims not to poop toward the Qibla or with your back turned towards it. Yeah. Imagine bringing a compass to take a dump, but it provides a metaphysical meaning to mooning. That's funny. Former son of Hamas versus son of former Professor? Oh, Professor. Professor. Former son of Hamas versus son of former Professor. That's good. And Z-Beam here. Why are Muslim peeps not allowed to make an image of Muhammad, yet allowed to name every screaming kid that name? Isn't that idolatry? No offense to those named Muhammad. It's not your fault. Oh, Islam is the most idolatrous ideology in human. I mean, you could have something that's more idolatrous and limited. As far as what has spread the most idolatry of anything else in history, it's Islam by far. By far, it's not even close. There's an entire religion based around one man and mindlessly obeying that one man and mindlessly. It's, guys, Surah 4 verse 65. People say, oh, it's all about submission to Allah. Surah 4 verse 65. The only way you can submit to Allah is by mindlessly obeying everything Muhammad says. So you make a religion, guys, come to me. Everyone, we just want to serve one God and worship one God. Come to me, so we can be the religion of one God. And you all go, oh, okay, what should we do? Well, the only way to submit to one God is to do everything I tell you. Now, give me your daughters. And people fall for that nonsense. And, oh, it's just a religion of worshiping one God. What are you people?
Holy Prophet, I want to kiss the Holy Prophet. I want to think about the Holy Prophet.
Indeed. All right, one more, and then we'll jump into one more from Robin Hood here, and then we'll jump right into this, again, this short exchange between the Fonz and Bill Maher. AP, don't disagree. This is a battle against Islam. But what does Israel say to their 2 million Muslim citizens that are not desiring to kill Jews? AP and I actually discussed this a bunch. So, guys, the question here is, AP and I would point out the exact same thing. Israel needs to recognize that this is religious in nature. It is an obsession that is built into Islam with Jews being your mortal enemies. It's built into the religion, and one of the goals of the religion is eventually to completely exterminate Jews. We are not exaggerating. That is one of the goals of the religion, completely wiping out Jews. Okay, that is built into the religion. Israel needs to recognize that and be aware of it and not think, oh, it's just these, just some weird guys who are upset about something. With that said, there is this ongoing problem. Namely, you have lots of Arab Muslims in Israel. And so the government doesn't want to be against its own citizens and say, oh, we have to destroy Islam. You've got tons of Muslims there.
And
difficult.
The good thing is also the Muslims in Israel are very, very different in their thinking about the Jews and about Israel from those on the other side of the border. So those in the so-called Palestinian territories are overwhelmingly over 90%. They hate Jews. Inside Israel, the Muslims inside Israel, over 60%, according to the same polls, have a positive view of Jews. So it's a very interesting phenomenon, and yeah, you have to call out. This is confusing to me as well, and it is very complicated to suggest what would be done. On the one hand, Israel and Israelis and Jews need to acknowledge that Islam is a problem, but on the other hand, Israel seems to have a very good way of changing the minds of Muslims inside Israel and of pacifying them and making them feel good about Jews. So this is indeed a complicated issue.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're basically handling this correctly as far as someone needs to be addressing the religious aspect. I think I think the government should be doing basically what it's doing and saying, hey, we have Christians and Muslims and Jews all living here, and the government shouldn't be going out and attacking Islam and so on. Individuals there can, but basically there are those of us around the world who can address the religious aspects of it. So I think they're basically I'd like to see some more individuals in Israel calling out Islam and so on and exposing the actual roots of the hatred in this conflict and so on. But yeah, no, I don't think the government should be, this is all about Islam and we will destroy Islam. I think that would actually not help them. I don't think that would actually help them.
You see?
Is AP a believer or an agnostic? He's a believer in agnosticism.
I'm a believer.
He's an agnostic who constantly thinks that God is in control and everything's going to be okay because God's in control. Thanks, guys, for the Thanks, guys, for the informative and funny show. As always, AP, praying you know how wide and deep and long and high the Father's love is for you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and jump into this exchange between Bill Maher and the Fonz. I can go ahead and stop this poll now. I asked people if they're familiar with the Fonz because that was when I was a little kid. I'm almost 50, and that's when I was a little kid. And therefore, anyone who's younger than me, you'd basically be hearing about it or watching reruns or something like this. But 65% of people said, yes, they are familiar with the Fonz. 65%. So 35% don't know. I'll just put a quick picture up on the screen.
Almost 50. I thought you were 60, 62 or something.
Yeah, something like that. But, you got to downplay it. All right. So this is the Fonz from Happy Days. He started off as what was just going to be a side character. In fact, I think, because this is a long time ago, I used to watch this when I was a little kid. I think he started off where he was in some sort of gang or something like this. And so he started off as like a minor character, but people liked him so much because he was so cool that it became more and more important. And then over time, they just kept exaggerating more and more how cool this guy was. He eventually had like superpowers, in that he could walk into this little diner and like walk in there. The girls would all gather around him instantly, but he could snap his fingers and the jukebox would start playing whatever song he wanted it to play. So he had like superpowers basically. Now I tried to think, because I was fascinated by this character, how someone can just like take over a show. You're a little side character, but you become so popular that you become the main character on the show. And for a while, they even thought about renaming the show from Happy Days to Fonzie's Happy Days, just because he was so popular. It became a phenomenon. And it was interesting because once his character became super popular, he actually used it for cool stuff. So he used his character to fight against racism and so on. So they would actually do things like that on the show. Like there was so the show is from the 70s and early 80s, but it's set in like the 1950s. And so they would deal with like segregation on the show. But there was one episode where he travels south and goes to a segregated diner. And of course, the waitress is in love with him because he's Fonzie, but he will not, he lets her know he won't date her because she supports segregation and so on. So anyway, he actually did cool stuff on the show, but I was fascinated by the idea of someone just taking over a show And the only other time I can think of it happening to this extent, to this extreme, was the polar opposite, like the complete opposite. This guy is someone who's so cool that he's like supernaturally cool. He has superpowers. I want to see if anyone can pick up on the only other time I'm familiar with this really happening to this extent, where someone who's supposed to be a minor character becomes the most popular character, and basically the show ends up revolving around that character. The only other time I can think of it happening to this extent, ladies and gentlemen, see if you can pick it up. No, people are pointing out JJ on Good Times and stuff like that. No, there are characters who became the most popular character. I actually saw someone point it out. No, I see people pointing it out. People are pointing, a bunch of people. That's cool. I was about to give a case and let people say it, but everyone already picked up on it. Let me scroll down to, we have it right here. We've got it. People pointing out Urkel. Family Matters, Steve Urkel. We got Urkel. Plenty of people pointing out Urkel. That's exactly what I was thinking of. And that's why I said he's the polar opposite. That Urkel was supposed to be a minor character. He was just supposed to be a neighbor who shows up in an episode, and he's in love with the daughter there. And he became so popular that the show was eventually like he was the main character and it was all about what he was doing. But it was also he became supernaturally nerdy, not in the sense of like miracles and stuff, but like he would just go into his room and invent a time machine, or he would go into his room and invent a transformation machine that alters your DNA. And it's like, okay, you can't actually do that. But he would do it. So he became like supernaturally nerdy. And I don't know. I find that interesting. There's something about characters that are on some extreme that can make them take off. That's important to keep in mind for shows and so on. Anyway, just wanted everyone to know who the Fonz was in case you didn't know. And Henry Winkler, who's a Jewish guy, played the Fonz. He played an Italian, Arthur Fonzarelli. And everyone's always liked him. Because he's a super nice guy. And he was the Fonz. But now he's debating. Israel with...
Was he wrinkly?
He's debating Israel with our good friend Bill Maher on the show. What's it called when they're just sitting in a room and talking? I forget what the show is called. Maybe it'll be on the screen. All right, guys, but here, let's go ahead and check this out. Now, AP knows who the Fonz is and how cool he is.
Who?
First time I ever went, I would not.
This starts awkwardly, like almost in mid-sentence. That's where the video clip starts. There is the longer one, but this is the actual video that they posted. And the Fonz here, when he starts off, again, he's almost in mid-thought because they cut off right before that for an advertisement. But he's talking about when he first went to Israel. He didn't go to Israel because he's worried that a war is going to break out. He's always worried that there's a war breaking out. Anyway, that's sort of the context, but here we go.
First time I ever went, I would not go to Israel. I was convinced if I stepped terra firma on Israel, I stepped off the plane onto the tarmac, a war would break out.
Why?
I don't know why. It's a tick.
Well, that's more than a tick.
They actually don't. Henry Winkler's thought was it's just going to be bad luck that when I go there, it's going to break out. Bill Maher thinks he's saying that he's so important that a war is going to break out if he comes there. Right? So that's why Tick's like, what? You got a problem? You think wars are going to break out wherever you go? And he's just saying, no, it's just I feel like if I go somewhere, there's going to be a war and I'm just going to have bad luck. But anyway.
So it's psychotic.
Wait, what's that? He just called him psychotic.
This is Bill Maher's new show, or new, meaning that he started this like last year or so, where he's just both of them are getting heavily drunk and high or something and talking.
Yeah, what's that show called? What's that show called, guys? No, that's not Real Time. He has a different show called Real Time. I'm familiar with Real Time. And way back in the day, he had Politically Incorrect. This one's called something, where it's just him sitting in a room.
It's called Club Random.
Okay, Club Random, and he sits there and smokes weed or cigars and drinks and stuff and has discussions. But anyway, he says he thinks it's psychotic because he thinks Winkler is saying that, like, hey, if Fonzie shows up, there's going to be a war breaking out over it. So anyway, let's back up a little.
That's more than a tick.
Yeah.
That's psychotic.
Yeah, well, thank you.
What? I mean, why you stepping off the plane?
No, not me.
Just bad timing.
Bad timing.
There we
Well,
go.
it
No,
is.
I wouldn't cause the war.
Oh, I see.
I would just be in the middle
I
of it.
thought they were like, the funds.
Hey,
it's on.
Henry's here.
Allahu Akbar, the funds.
Really?
This is the last
Oh,
straw.
my God.
The funds is in Israel. Now we have to get them into
Yeah.
the sea.
Oh boy, it's actually funny.
I always found Bill Maher funny in this way. I guess it makes it funnier when he's slightly drunk or something, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill Maher is one of those weird guys where he could be saying something. I'll be like, how can you be this stupid?
Yeah.
And then he could be saying something else. I'd be like, how are you the only guy with common sense on this entire show? The only person who is looking at the obvious, because, for a while it was just his show's politically incorrect. So I'm not going along with the political correctness campaign. I'll say whatever I want and stuff. And so that was cool because, political correctness really sucked. It was like the precursor to cancel culture, where people had to declare war on you unless you're politically correct. So he actually stood against that, but he would say lots of dumb things. But then when you ended up with jihad and stuff, he would just be on all kinds of shows where he was like the only person who had any bit of common sense, because every single news broadcaster or politician was saying the exact same thing. Oh, but all religions have their radicals, so this isn't about Islam. And he would just be like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And he would say, no, you don't have massive numbers of people in other religions and so on who are calling for apostates to be executed. So no, that's part of Islam. That's part of the issue. He actually quote statistics. And
This is what I appreciate about him, and I will never forget my appreciation for him during these times when the whole Islamophobia bad. Let's cancel all of those on the left who are Islamophobic as well. When that whole wave was going on and is still going on, there are still lots of people who say Bill Maher is a racist. We should cancel him. It's our responsibility. And he just says, I don't give a crap. F you all. Islam is a horrible religion. It's the worst religion, and so on. So I respect that,
Yeah, that would kind of, if you wanted to, apart from his common sense on certain issues, like if you were to try to identify his top virtue, he seems to be willing to tell you exactly what he thinks on some issue, and he's not gonna be pressured out of it, and whatever he thinks, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, he's just going to go ahead and say it. I did want to get back to this comment here because someone posted a really, really funny comment about the Fonz. Oh, here we go. Michael James said, the Fonz is the red heifer. Meaning what would really set people off. Guys, if you don't remember earlier this year, there's this big thing about they're gonna get the red heifer and then they're gonna destroy the Dome of the Rock and build a temple there. So we have to fight now. And so someone saying what Bill Maher thought he was saying was something like, oh, the Fonz is here, we have to fight over this. Is basically the red heifer, something that would cause instant war. But yeah, it's not what he meant. He was just thinking he thinks his luck is so bad that he would show up and oh no, war broke out. Now I can't even get out of the place. All right, here we go. Back to Bill Maher.
Oh, what about their prime minister? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Of course, you can talk about anything. That's what I love about this.
I really think that he knows if, God forbid, he steps down or the war is over, he's in jail.
I mean, that's possible, and we hear that a lot. I mean, it's
I
interesting.
believe it to my core.
Yeah, well, you don't know I mean, that could be the case.
We just talked about this yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
About Netanyahu, and people think Netanyahu is carrying on the war just because he's going to be in trouble. He'd be in trouble if the war wasn't going on. Like this was the theory about Bill Clinton. So Bill Clinton's going through a scandal and stuff like that. And then, we have this war in Iraq. So there's people saying, he just wanted the war in Iraq to draw attention away from himself or something like that. And so I guess same idea with Netanyahu. Netanyahu is carrying on this war because he's worried about being in trouble. I don't buy that.
This is so disrespectful toward a man. I wouldn't agree with him politically on much of the things. I wouldn't agree with his party, the Likud party, and so on. I wouldn't agree with the decisions that he has made during this war and immediately before this war, in the over the last 2 decades. In my opinion, he did a lot of things wrong, and he contributed to letting Hamas become stronger and carry out terrorist attacks and so on. And he made mistakes and all of that, but the guy has a legacy of serving the nation, of serving Israel and representing it in a great way, in a respectable way around the world. He comes from a family that is respectable and that has a tradition, a reputation for serving the country and giving their lives for this nation. His brother was in one of the most significant operations in Israeli history, and died there, and so on. It's the guy has dedicated his entire life to to Israel, and he's basically nearing the end of it, and he is still, given the circumstances, all of the pressure that is going on, handling the situation quite well. Like many other people, I would say, many people think that he is a little bit, at least, to blame for October 7, for what happened on October 7, because he and others let the guard down and didn't take serious advice seriously. And then, of course, there were some corruption and financial issues that were ongoing, but they are not on such a level that he would, I don't know, be prosecuted and go to prison if he wasn't the prime minister or anything like that. I think this is a ridiculous amount of speculation, and it's also extremely disrespectful.
Yeah, and I gave my perspective yesterday. Netanyahu now has popularity issues. There are going to be the issues of, once the dust has settled, literally and figuratively, from this war, they're going to have to get into there was a massive failure of security on October 7th, and who's going to be responsible for that? And so there are going to be some issues. Doesn't look like he's going to have some long future in politics after that, whatever happens. So to me, it looks like his actual position is, okay, you're right. My career is going to be, pretty much over after this, but I'm going to get this done. No matter what else happens, I'm going to get this done. I'm not going to leave and let Hamas still be a thing. I'm not going to leave and they're still holding hostages or something like that. Or, I grant an easy ceasefire, get the hostages back, and Hamas is just prepping for the next attack. So to me, it looks like I'm gonna deal with Hamas. I'm gonna completely wipe them out, and I'm going to make sure Hezbollah stops attacking us, and then I'm done. But I'm gonna leave having handled a really important issue right now. That's what it looks like to me. And so, but the Fonz has a different perspective. And we've had several people point out the pants. It's funny because I hadn't noticed, but yeah, he's got green pants and he's got blue socks with, like, what is that, a snake wrapped around there? I don't know. I can't tell. But yep, he is confident in his coolness.
It's kind of cute. Yeah.
It's kind of adorable. It doesn't really match though, but yeah. If he had black socks, I don't know.
Don't know what's in a person's heart. Whether that's true or not, you can still be supportive of the decisions he's making, which I am.
Okay.
It's very naive, I think, that this could go any other way.
Right.
And any other country in the world would not be expected to act any differently. If you get attacked, you get to fight back. And the war doesn't end when you start fighting back, which they always want with Israel. When somebody...
You know what? A lot of what you're saying is true. However, I think that, there are parents, there are families that are hurting because the hostages are not.
Yes, and it's the job of...
He just pointed out.
He did?
I'm thinking, because I didn't really So his emphasis here is that your focus should be on getting the hostages back safely. That's basically the position of the protesters, right, in Israel.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have different kind of protesters and so on, but when we see the big protests in Israel calling for ceasefire, it's not just, hey, we want to get this over with. The big thrust seems to be, hey, whatever deal you have to make with Hamas to get the hostages that are still alive back before they're killed, do it. If Hamas says let us go and we'll give you the hostages back, then do it. There are people who are saying that. Versus you have other people who are protesting who just want Israel wiped out, and that's why after any time the fighting starts, even if it's started by Hamas or something like that, as soon as Israel starts retaliating, then it's ceasefire. Sound like base. I don't know what else he's going to point out here, but there it just sounds like he's saying, okay, give these guys the deal they want if it gets back your hostages safely. And we've talked about that before. That's not what I would do. I would make sure that Hamas is completely, totally crushed. I think that is the long-term better avenue. But I don't think it's weird or insane to be saying, hey, get the hostages back. Make whatever deal with them, deal with these guys later, but get your hostages back. I see that because guess what? It's not my daughter who's being held hostage. It's not my son who's being held hostage. It's not my brother being held hostage. So people who are saying, my brother's still alive or my daughter's still alive or something like that, get them back. I don't care what deal you have to give them the deal. Get my people back. It's just long term, it's a dangerous precedent that keeps being set, that just take a bunch of hostages and then we'll eventually give you whatever you want.
Yeah. You have to understand the situation that these families are in when they think about this entire conflict and the hostage situation. It's like a bunch of criminals take over a building and take a bunch of hostages, and you get more and more news that the hostages are being executed by these terrorists. Especially recently, several weeks ago, when they executed several of the hostages, and then even openly said that they executed them and that they will execute any hostages that were, if they see that the IDF is approaching and trying a rescue mission. Then of course the focus of families, of civilians, is on, please make sure that those who may still be alive can come back in one way or another. We don't care. Afterwards, go and do whatever you want to Hamas. We don't care. We just want these hostages back. It is a very, it's a difficult situation.
Yeah. And again, so that's kind of why I liked this discussion when I started watching it, and then said, okay, well, instead of we could just finish watching it live. That they're disagreeing, but it's not someone with some insane evil position versus someone with a different position. It's two guys who are. It's a weird situation where you're both right? You can say, hey, I want my daughter back safely, and we should do whatever it takes to get my daughter back safe. That's not a crazy. That makes perfect sense. But as a government, you have to be thinking about additional things like the future and so on. And so that's kind of the idea behind not negotiating with terrorists. People do negotiate with terrorists and so on, but the idea behind the slogan "Don't negotiate with terrorists" is every time a terrorist says, "Hey, I took your hostages and give me what I want," and you give them what they want, that encourages them to do the exact same thing. Oh, that teaches them that's how you get what you want. You get what you want by slaughtering and torturing people and taking hostages and killing hostages, and then we just give you whatever you want. Versus if you make it clear that you are never going to accept a deal and you're just going to crush them, relentlessly crush them, then it sends the opposite message. That is not the way to get what you want. And so it's rough. It's rough stuff, man. Rough stuff. Fonz here.
a statesman and a leader and a prime minister to think long term and not just short term. Like, if they don't eliminate Hamas,
They're
then
not going to eliminate Hamas. Hamas is an idea, not a group of people.
that's a bullshit thing.
It's not bullshit.
Well, let me tell you something. They've said that for years. I just read, I think, Sam Harris on this, and he said it right.
I know Sam.
Okay, great.
You're bragging about knowing Sam Harris? That, like, you were the coolest guy in the world in my mind, and now you're like, what? I know Sam Harris. What? Would have been, might have been cooler in people's minds like 10 years ago, but now who thinks, oh, wow, you know Sam Harris? He did just, that is an important point, though. And they're arguing.
He's pointing out, I know Sam Harris. I know what he would think or say. I guess that's.
Yeah. This is an important point right here, and they're coming at it from two completely different directions, and it's another situation where they're both right. So Bill Maher was saying, in effect, what we're saying, you got to get rid of Hamas. You cannot let them get what they want out of this. You can't do it. It's a horrible precedent for the future. And so he said, you gotta destroy Hamas. And then the Fonz responds. He should have a show called The Fonz Responds. It would blow up. The Fonz responds, you can't destroy Hamas. Hamas is an idea. And he's partly correct in that there is an actual group that is Hamas. You can destroy them. I believe Israel is going to destroy them. It doesn't mean there may be scattered members and stuff, but Hamas as a group is no longer going to be Hamas as a group. Hamas as a threat to your safety is no longer going to be a serious threat to your safety, because you will have taken out all their leaders. You have taken out all their main fighters. There may be scattered members who get away and so on. It's not enough to be some serious threat to you. But the ideas that Hamas has, other groups have those same ideas. And those ideas are very common among lots of people around the entire world. And so they're kind of both right. Bill Maher is right. Hey, you got to take out Hamas. And sounds like the Fonz's response is, but you're not destroying the idea. And he is correct. So fair point, Fonzie.
I like
Love Sam. Great. I'm glad we both do.
And
he said this thing we've heard a lot of times. You can't kill an idea. He said, well, we did after World War II.
Until now.
We did kill a lot of Japanese, and that was unfortunate.
Right.
But, I mean, if you do kill enough lunatics, and Japan was led by lunatics,
right.
Died of the last person and a lot.
They're both agreeing that Japan was led by lunatics. What is this racist show?
It was led by complete lunatics.
This is the most racist thing I've ever heard. You guys are all racist against Asians.
The funny thing about this is we don't often talk about this in the West, but Japan's leadership during the Second World War was, I don't know, if you compare them to each other, it's hard to tell if the Nazis were more insane or the Japanese were.
It's pretty rough, especially, and it's weird. They both completely independently went into like the insane medical experimentations and so on. And the Japanese were doing the same thing on like Russians and on Chinese. They were prisoners of war. Hey, let's send them into these mad scientists to do the most insane experimentation on them ever. They were doing, and it's true. We have focused way more on how messed up the Nazis were. But yeah, there was crazy stuff going on there as well.
And they would do things to the Chinese population because to them, their idea was similar to the Nazi idea, but they took it more to a religious level where they consider themselves the gods on earth given by the divine beings, but the right to rule over everyone on the world, and all the others are just little bugs basically. And the Chinese, especially because of their history with China, with the Chinese especially were worthless, people, not even real people, on their way, blocking their way to fulfilling their great purpose. And they would not hold back in allowing their soldiers roam free and commit all kinds of incredibly unspeakable atrocities against the civilian population of China.
Yeah, they would have like beheading contests and stuff like that, because you had military leaders and stuff who would still walk around with samurai swords and so on, and they would have beheading contests, like first person to behead 100 Chinese people wins and stuff. And they'd run out. They had rape in Nanking. They would point. They designed chairs. They constructed chairs to strap Chinese women to, that kept them in a position where, you know, they could just be repeatedly raped by soldiers in line and so on. So yeah, really, really messed up, horrible stuff. But so the Fonz is pointing out, well, you can't kill an idea. You can go in there. And Bill Maher is responding, no, you can't. You can. The Nazis had their ideas, and we crushed them so thoroughly that we actually changed their ideas. And he's saying, and the Japanese did as well. They had their ideas, and we crushed it. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, that was part of the idea for the nuclear bomb. I understand people say you don't ever cross that line. Don't ever do it. Do whatever else you need to, but you don't start dropping. I also understand the perspective of weighing the costs of the ideas that were there in Japan. They understood, hey, if we have to invade Japan, we basically have to go door to door fighting every last person, because these guys will not surrender unless they're ordered to surrender. They will like so many of these people will fight to the death. It's going to be massive casualties to do an invasion unless you can actually freak out the leaders so much that they surrender. And that was the idea behind dropping actual atomic bombs and saying, guys, there's no scenario where you come out on top here. So stop fighting and surrender. But so here's the thing. Bill Maher is pointing. So the Fonz says, well, you can't kill an idea. And Bill Maher responds, no, you actually can. You actually can crush someone to destroy their ideas. Here's the problem with that, and I don't know if the Fonz is going to respond to this. Here's the problem with that the ideas of the Nazis were pretty localized. It's right there. It's in one spot. You can crush something that's in one spot. The same thing with the Japanese. It's mainly in one spot. You can have other people with similar ideas, and you can have Japanese people around the world who might still have allegiance to their leader in Japan and so on. But basically, it's in one spot. You can get it in one spot. Islam is kind of not like that. It's not in one spot. Hamas is mainly localized in one spot, but the ideas are spread around the world. And so it's not the situation where if you crush them there, you have crushed the idea. Like if you crushed the Nazis, therefore you've crushed the idea. So the Fonz is may be correct on this one, that crushing Hamas does not crush certain bad ideas. He's correct on that.
True.
But
that's true.
But you still have to crush. Yeah, you still have that, and that's my perspective. Yeah, you're still going to have a problem. You're still going to have a big problem that's global. You still have to crush Hamas. But you also set an example for the rest of the world. Guys, whatever stupid ideas you have in your head, if you ever cross over and kill a bunch of people, then this is what's going to happen to you. And so it kind of be, hey, you guys still have the ideas, just let it also be an idea in your head that you are not going to succeed if you come and try to kill a bunch of our people.
Bombing and all that. Very similar to what we see with radical Muslims.
Right.
Suicide bombing, cult of martyrdom.
Right.
Okay, so Japan became our good friend. So let's not pretend that you can't actually get to the root of this. It is difficult.
I'm not pretending.
No.
I truly believe that in this particular case,
you will not.
You don't think that all those people that are now homeless and their families are destroyed, you don't think that they are now
I think you have to make
Hamas
calculation.
again?
Of course, absolutely. That is going to happen. You are also
So
recruiting.
you want to kill every human being?
No.
What is that? That was lame. That was not cool, Fonzie.
How did you even get to that conclusion? That's
we were just talking about the straw man fallacy. So you're saying you want to kill every human being? Now, I guess you could try to say, are you saying that if you really want to eradicate the idea, you'd be willing to kill every person with that idea to stop that idea and so on? But so, I mean, the Fonz is making, before that stupidity, he was making an important point, namely, okay, suppose you kill every Hamas jihadi, you've upset a lot of people in the area, and that's going that's going to be the soil for the next crop of jihadis who want to slaughter Jews. But even that's like an understatement, because you still have the global population that wants to that is more upset about Israel right now. So yeah, these are all legitimate issues, and I think AP and I still have the same perspective. Okay, yeah, these are all concerns. You're going to have to deal with those in the future. You still have to crush Hamas. You have to do it. You absolutely have to crush them.
Absolutely have to crush them and
humiliate them.
Humiliate them, destroy them. The thing is, well, there are two things that I want to disagree with here on with this guy. One of those is this whole idea that, because of this war and people will be homeless and this will just turn them into extremists. Okay, yeah, we know that this will make people upset and drive some people toward extremism. However, it's not like this is something that just that happened because Israel, I don't know, fought them or bombed them or whatever. The Palestinian Arab population started out like that. They weren't radicalized. They started out like that. They were radicalized, if by anyone, they were radicalized by their own leaders, by their own religious leaders, by their own societies, and so on. Israel's response in this war is merely a response to their radicalization. If now this response by Israel, which is a necessary response, leads to more radicalization, then this is not Israel's fault. There is nothing else you can do about this. The other issue is that Hamas is not the only problem. There are lots of elements inside Palestinian society that are first off, there are different political and militant organizations. Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PIJ, is the second largest Islamist group inside Gaza. Nobody ever talks about them, but they participated prominently in October 7, and you could say that they are more extreme even than Hamas in a way. Then there are certain communist factions even in Gaza, and there are other factions that are secular or religious in the West Bank that are also violent. And then you even have non-militant civilians who basically passively believe in eradicating the Jews and eventually taking all of the land. This is just, it is very, 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 very complicated, and it doesn't end with taking out Hamas. But you have to do something about Hamas, which is currently the government in charge, and also the terrorist organization.
Yeah, trying to, both these guys are making, it's just this weird situation where you're right, you're right about a problem here, but you're not right about what course of action to take in response to that problem. So, yeah, so Bill Maher's pointing out, hey, Hamas has this bad idea. You've got to wipe them out to crush that bad idea. And Fonzie's response is, but you can't crush a bad idea like that, because then you're just making other people who are going to have that same bad idea. But the assumption there is that they're getting the idea about hating Jews from Jews doing stuff to them. So that's the underlying problem right there that AP just pointed. No, this was actually long before 1948 or long before October 7th, long before any of that, it was built into Islam that Jews are your ultimate enemy. And so the idea that you don't crush Hamas, because by crushing Hamas, you're going to be creating the next crop of jihadis. The next crop of jihadis are coming for Israel no matter what. They're going to hate Israel and hate Jews no matter what. It's not like, we were going to like Jews, but then they bombed our place because Hamas was hiding underneath it. So now we're going to hate them or something like that. They're going to hate you either way.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry, Fonz. You are correct. You are correct in some of the issues, namely that destroying Hamas does not destroy the bad idea and so on. But as far as it seems to be built into your thinking that the problem these guys have with Jews is because of things that Israel has done in recent decades or something like that. And It's not. The problem goes way back before that.
Is that what I said?
No, but I think it is what you were leading to.
No, it is certainly not what I'm leading to. What I'm saying
If
is,
we kill enough of them, we're going to end Hamas.
I didn't say that either.
I think you did.
No, I didn't. You said it.
You want to?
That is correct. I mean, but that is correct. If you killed enough of them, you would destroy Hamas. That is a true statement. If you kill enough Hamas jihadis, you've destroyed the group Hamas. Henry Winkler's point is you have not destroyed the idea of Hamas. He is correct insofar as that.
Play it back.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
I did not say if you kill enough of them, the Hamas is
No,
over.
what I said was the idea that you can't kill an idea.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what I was objecting to.
Right.
And I was quoting Sam talking about the fact that
you
after
know, World War II, we did not kill Nazism.
Yeah, we did.
Except for like a moment.
But,
it's back almost in every country.
Back in a tiny fringe. I mean, if you expect...
Yeah, so there Henry Winkler is responding. No, actually didn't kill Nazism. It still exists as an idea and so on. Bill Maher, it's another situation where they're both correct, but Bill Maher, you kind of crush it as this like global threat. Yeah, it's making a kind of a comeback, and it could get to the point where it's going to be this huge threat and so on, but let's say you crippled Nazism in World War II. You crippled it. You significantly weakened it so that it became a much less significant threat. Right.
That's true. That's true. And well, they're among incels, it is making a comeback. For example, that needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, and could get to the point where it becomes this huge issue that we have to deal with again and so on. But I mean, look at that. I mean, they were taking over Europe and hell bent on taking over a lot, even more than Europe. And you did crush them and massively crippled them and so on. And so now it's making it, it's making a comeback in among stupid people and so on. Okay, great.
I don't expect a perfection.
Well, then it's a silly argument.
I believe. Well, that's not true.
Well,
but I believe that we are going to experience another Kristallnacht, and could very well experience it here.
Well, there's a lot of anti-Semitism, and that comes from people like Hamas.
Yeah, I see.
So, I mean, again...
What?
Did you just say Hamas?
It is interesting that his perspective was what Israel is doing right now, because again, you have the people who are, look at this poor Palestinian. You have that, and he's arguing, okay, Israel's crushing Hamas. That's making a lot more people hate Israel, and so many people are going to hate Israel that you're going to end up with people going around killing Jews in other parts of the world and so on. That is a legitimate concern right there. You still got to crush Hamas. You still got to crush Hamas, right? Fonz, nothing you're saying is changing the fact that if a bunch of people cross your border, slaughter a bunch of people, you have to crush them. But he is correct in that once you've crushed Hamas, you have other problems you're going to have to deal with, and you might be dealing with it in other parts of the world. That part is true.
That's true. You see,
when you're a leader, you have to think long term.
Right.
If you don't know, they've prosecuted this war for 11 months, as we're recording this in September,
right,
of 2024. So they're at the final stage. They're in the South. Yes, there are probably still, 80, 90 hostages left.
Right, 100.
It's horrible to think of the situation they've been in, and if we can't get them out. Again, if I could just finish.
Yes, go right ahead.
Let him finish there. Oh, by the way, we're like almost 2 weeks away from October 7th. Interesting going.
I don't feel good about that at all. It's I can imagine that there is going to be there will be a lot of horrible scenes to see. I hope I will be I hope I will be proven wrong, but I can count on a lot of horrible people out there engaging in horrible means to remember October 7th.
So you're saying you think it'll be beyond protesters, that people are going to treat like October. You're thinking it may happen that there will be people who treat October 7th like an anniversary to celebrate by going around and doing some bad things.
I mean, even if it's just glorifying October 7th and walking around and having mass demonstrations to remember October 7th as if it was something good. There is nothing at all that is praiseworthy about October 7th. It's one thing for some people out there who are ignorant or hateful, whatever it is, to go out and say, free Palestine, oppression end occupation, and so on. That is one thing, but going out and explicitly celebrating October 7th would be just messed up and evil on a whole different level. Because it was not. October 7th is not about free Palestine, stop the occupation. It is about celebrating a day where primarily Islamist terrorists, together with certain other terrorists, poured into Israel and deliberately targeted and massacred and tortured and raped and abducted and held so many civilians. It was not a military operation against military targets. It was mostly against civilians, including kidnapping a baby that is 7 months old. We don't know if that baby is still alive now or not. Going from house to house and shooting innocent civilians and so on. Every day that since October 7th that I see people comment online on this whole conflict, I feel like I want to give up all hope for humanity and just stop talking about anything that is out there, because humanity is obviously really, really messed up and sick. But if I don't know if I can really take it seeing people actually celebrate October 7th.
Yeah, we're gonna I don't know. We're gonna find out here very soon what happens.
You have to think in terms of long-term and numbers. Like those 100 people, we wouldn't want anyone to die, but what if we let Hamas off the hook and then it gets worse and 10,000 die? That's how...
10,000...
Well, in the future. In other words, if they are able to stage more attacks.
I see. 10,000 more Israelis.
You've got...
Yeah, so guys, this is...
Exactly.
Same point I've been making. Yes, you do have to be. Hey, if you could save 100 people, that is a very important consideration. If saving those 100 people leads to thousands more dying because you've just set a precedent of, hey, come and kill as many people as you can, and we'll let you off the hook if you take some hostages because we'll do anything to get those hostages back. You got to think. You got to think long term.
Yes, you've gone this far for 11 months. Mm-hmm. And my question to people who have this argument is always, do you know what's going on really underneath Gaza in all the tunnels and how close they are?
I do not know.
I don't either. But you know who does know? The Israeli Defense Force. Now, are they perfect? Absolutely not. But again, they're not the ones purposely killing civilians. They try not to kill civilians. If you can't understand that difference morally, then you're very morally confused.
Are you watching the same footage I'm watching?
You think they are trying to kill civilians?
I think that it is indiscriminate.
That's...
Shut up, man. Come on, shut your mouth. Shut up. You don't know anything.
That's the thing. If someone wanted to say, try to be more careful or try to be try to reduce the civilian casualties a little more, something like that, I would get all of that. But to just say indiscriminate, to say it's indiscriminate is almost like, Macklemore saying it's genocide, or someone of the selling genocide. It's like, no, it's not. They're being pretty darn careful. If you wanted to say, here's how they could be more careful or something like that, be totally open to that. But to say indiscriminate, meaning they don't care whether you're a Hamas or not Hamas. They're just killing everyone who's in front of them.
Well, here is the thing. A few days ago, I think it was even was it yesterday or the day before? There was footage going around of apparently the certain IDF soldiers throwing the bodies of terrorists that they exchanged fire with off a rooftop. Okay, so we're talking about actual terrorists. These were terrorist bodies. They had a shootout with them. They killed them, and then they went there and threw the bodies off the roof in order to take care of the bodies. This was filmed, and people started spreading outrage about this. Look how they're mistreating the bodies of innocent Palestinians. And it was pointed out, first off, this is not innocent Palestinians. It is terrorists. However, the IDF still made an official statement about this and said that they will be investigating this matter and taking action because it does not align with IDF values. That's what they said. And every single time that the IDF says that about anything, that was actually in the West Bank. That wasn't Gaza. Anytime that happens, anytime something happens and is pointed out, or if somebody commits what appears to be an unjust treatment or unjust killing, and the IDF is alerted about this, whether they do it publicly or not, they say, we will investigate this. This does not align with our values. And every single time you can go and find that they will take action. They will take a disciplinary action against higher ranking personnel in the IDF, action against reservists or others in the IDF, and so on. So you can always expect in every single war ever in the world that some people in the middle of a bloody, messed up major war will do things that do not align with the military, with the army in general. And the army will then take care of handling those things. We had the same situation in the Iraq War. And people should remember this. This is the things that came out of the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, where Americans took a bunch of the Iraqi prisoners and stripped them naked and tortured them and so on. This came out as a huge scandal. Does this now mean that all Americans, or that America as a nation, or that the American army in general is evil and messed up? No.
It means according to me or Macklemore?
Certain people did certain horrible things, and for that they were brought in front of a court and it was dealt with. This happens everywhere, okay? But Israel, the IDF, does not have a policy and is not pursuing a policy of indiscriminately killing people. If they did so, they would be doing that, actually. They wouldn't be devising maps of safe evacuation, safe refuge, safe zones, assisted, distribution of goods, aid, and all that. They would be carpet bombing the place. So what is this whole indiscriminate killing? You haven't seen indiscriminate killing.
Yeah. I still like Fonz. He's just made a couple of really stupid points. But to his credit, he's not just going, it's a genocide. He actually has legitimate concerns on some of these issues. Again, it's a lot of these discussions just come down to short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. And if you're doing short-term thinking, then you think this. And if you're doing long-term thinking, then you come to a different conclusion. But then you have a problem of just, people screaming genocide, or not quite as bad, but still pretty bad, just saying, it seems indiscriminate. But can we agree on this, AP? Can we agree that Henry Winkler is kein Sitzpinkler?
I would say I disagree. I think he is. Er ist ein Sitzpinkler.
I can't do it, man. He's the Fonz. That dude is no Sitzpinkler.
He's a Sitzpinkler. Say it.
There's no way the Fonz is a Sitzpinkler.
Er ist ein Sitzpinkler.
War is.
We should have a debate. Ist Henry Winkler ein Sitzpinkler? Ja.
Oder nein.
Ja oder nein.
Okay.
War becomes that. There is no war you can name that didn't. Sherman burned Atlanta to the ground, and it wasn't just the military people he was killing. It's a shame, but again, there's a very simple solution to this. Stop attacking Israel.
Right.
Good point.
Jews used to know this.
Right.
I like that he's agreeing because he does actually listen to what people are saying. That's why I'm like, right, okay, good point.
What?
Stop attacking.
Oh,
Okay.
Still love you.
why can I not attack Israel? Why can I not murder Jews? What is so special about Jews that they're the only people I'm not allowed to murder?
Good point.
I love you.
Okay.
I have
I'm
no
glad we can
judgment
talk.
about your point of view.
Great. And I not of yours.
I disagree a
Yeah.
little bit with what you're saying.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't think that the head of Israel at this moment is a soulful human being.
That may be true.
Blasphemy! Kill him.
He said he's not soulful. He said he's not soulful.
Too. I didn't say he wasn't, and I didn't say even that he might not be doing what you suggested he might be doing. What I was saying is, even if those things are true, it could also be true that this is the correct policy, which I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've gone 11 months to do this. Let's finish it while we're there.
Okay, how does
That's another important point, is that because we've talked about, what's the takeaway message for these terrorists going to be? Is it going to be, hey, as long as you wait long enough, we'll let you go and we'll let you off the hook and you can regroup? Or do you want the takeaway message to be, there's no way to escape this? That if we do this, we will be crushed. But there's also this issue of, for all the people who are saying ceasefire now. So you actually have the protesters in Israel, ceasefire now. We need a ceasefire now, ceasefire to get these hostages back. Do you, after all you've done for the past 11 months, do you want to stop now? Like you're almost done. You're almost done having gone through all of Gaza and crushed the last groupings of Hamas. Do you want to stop now and let them regroup after everything you just did?
Don't stop me now.
There is a whole thing, and I don't want to stir the thing.
I thought you were about to go because we're having a good time. I was gonna be like, dude, come on.
No. I don't want to speak on behalf of them or be in the middle of the conversation. But there is a whole sentiment among Israeli Jews very often that is kind of dismissive or ridiculing or just disappointment filled when it comes to American Jews, certain American Jews, secular American Jews especially, and how disconnected they are sometimes from how they feel on that side. When I watch somebody like this guy, I understand why that is.
You don't understand nothing.
I do understand something. You should make a poll, by the way, if he's a Sid Spinkler or not.
All right, I will. Well, there's not much longer. Let's see what they've got.
it finish? Tell me that.
How does it finish?
Yes.
Is there a
What do you
is that
see?
you have extirpated enough of Hamas that some other entity can be brought in to rule that country?
Right.
Because that was always a coiled snake
Right.
right at the foot of Israel.
Right.
You can't live like that.
Right.
Okay. There's only one side in this who wants a two-state solution. That would be at least part of Israel. Maybe not everybody in Israel, but that they've certainly offered that many times. Hamas has been very plain. They do not want a two-state solution. They want a solution where all the Jews die. Again, Jews used to be kind of on the page that this is a bad thing. Again, we can disagree.
No, I think the Jews are on the page that it's a bad thing.
Well, you're okay. Let's just say I'm not even a Jew,
Right.
But let's just say you're more equivocal about it than I am.
You are an atheist.
Yes,
That's right. Sure.
yes. And I went and we.
Hey. He says you're an atheist.
Yeah.
I want to back. What is Henry Winkler? I know he's Jew, but is he like an atheist? Is he Jewish and atheist? I don't even know. I want to back this up.
You might believe it. If he points out to him and says you're an atheist, and it sounds like Winkler, the Sid Spinkler, believes in Judaism.
Yeah, and so he's like, so you're a and to be clear, you're a donkey-brained atheist. How cool would it have been? Dude, that would have been legend status if he actually said, and you're a donkey-brained atheist, because we would know where that ultimately came from. Hey, AP, we started the poll. It's at 86% who say the Fonz is, in fact, a Sitzpinkler.
Oh, boy.
That's not good. That's not good. All right.
This is a bad thing. Again, we can disagree.
Oh, I think the
But-
Jews are on the page that it's a bad thing.
Well, you're okay. Let's just say I'm not even a Jew,
Right.
But let's just say you're more
But
equivocal about it than I am.
You are an atheist.
Yes,
That's right. Sure.
yes.
So you're not
And I
chosen.
went and we made the movie Religulous. We spent 10 days in Israel,
Right.
in all over. I
Right.
mean, and it was fascinating and eye-opening, and I'm
Right.
so glad I did it.
Right.
And
Historic. I also find Israel to be one of the most delicious countries I've ever been to.
He's talking about the food. I would agree. I still have never had in my entire life a sandwich like that little hole in the wall sandwich shop that we went to. Phenomenal, awesome sandwiches. I would, if I get
Oh, that
rich,
was amazing, man.
if
Wow.
I get rich, I'm gonna pay that dude whatever I need to pay for him to either just move to the U.S. and make my sandwiches, or to at least, like, I'll send someone over there and he can train them how to make those sandwiches.
He will not move over. There's a reason. There's a religious reason why the guy is in Israel.
That's why I said I would send someone to train him. It would be funny if, look, no, we'll never sell this. I'm like, dude, here's a million shekels. Give me the recipe. No, the family secret.
It's that place was amazing. It was like the tiniest looking place, but just on the street where we rented a place, and man, the guy
almost didn't go in there because we're like, looks kind of raggedy there. And we're looking at the reviews and like everyone's saying he's got the best sandwiches. I don't know, man. There's
Yeah, and then we just went there. We just stopped there, like this little tiny little place, and ordered a shawarma, and it was the best thing in the world.
It's pretty phenomenal. I'll be
even the seafood restaurant. It was amazing, man. The one we went in Jerusalem. I loved it.
So Henry Winkler is 83% of people think he's a Zitzpinkler, but he is correct that is delicious stuff there.
Gal Gadot.
I'm talking about that great.
Did you see what he said? It's the most delicious country. He goes, you're talking about Gal Gadot.
Also find Israel to be one of the most delicious countries I've ever been to.
You're talking about Gal Gadot?
I'm talking about that great, delicious food.
Oh,
that is
delicious
Israeli.
food. The
delicious
Jews?
food. Yes.
Oh, I missed that.
You did.
I mean, I don't really remember the food. You know what I remember so vividly, and it was like
it cuts off right here.
Oh, such a.
It actually cut off right there. Isn't that weird? That was their video.
Yeah. I was curious about the rest of what they think about good stuff in Israel. But yeah, when he said Israel is delicious, I also just thought, what? I didn't think of food because it sounds weird to say that the country is delicious.
Yeah, it is weird to say a country is delicious and stuff like that. But it's funny, like you're trying to figure out what does he mean by delicious? Oh, is he talking about Gal Gadot?
Yeah, that tells you immediately where Bill's mind is.
Yeah. Anyway, so guys, that was their discussion on Israel, and I think they went off into a different topic there. You can check it. They have the full discussion, but they posted that as a separate clip. Anyway, you can let us know what you think. Whose side are you on? The Fonz, coolest guy in TV history, or Bill Maher, who definitely is nowhere near the coolest guy in TV history, but as is often the case, seems a bit more commonsensical than some of the people he talks to. AP, my son recently diagnosed with ADHD. Any parenting advice, especially about emotional dysregulation? Do you experience this? By the way, I enjoy your rants against Canned Ace. Strong emotions are sometimes needed, AP.
I agree. I feel very heavily. There's also my ADHD coming out. I wouldn't honestly. Thanks, Valerie, for the question. But I wouldn't presume to be in a position that I can actually, give you advice on how to handle this precisely and primarily because ADHD is a very, very case by case thing. That, for example, you could have. I have always had severe ADHD. But you cannot compare me to another, boy, for example, when we were kids, who would also have severe ADHD. Boy's
because you have a bunch of other problems too.
Yeah, that boy's ADHD, which would manifest in him just walking around and being totally wild and loud and all that. Mine is more of just sitting down, being
obsessed with watching Hitler rant.
My mind going into a million different places, and my leg moving around and so on, being unable to focus. Both of those are wild, out of control ADHD, but they are obviously very different. One is very physical, the other is very, very, cerebral thinking. So
you're saying find a good specialist and get that specialist to examine all the particulars of that particular case, and then go with that person's advice who's examined everything.
Precisely. There are lots of professionals will have a better understanding of what it would take to to give somebody with ADHD the best treatment, the best treatment in life in general. Yeah, that's all I can say. And wish you all the best. I always think that people with ADHD are much more interesting.
Andrew here says Elmo has basically taken over Sesame Street. That's sort of like a cuteness overload, which made him extremely popular. Still not the same as like Urkel, or like on a show like Sesame Street, they toss up new characters and they see, okay, which one of these characters is going to become really popular with kids and so on. With the Fonz and Urkel, it was just, hey, here's a little side character who's like extreme in this way, and then takes over the entire show from the people who are supposed to be on the show. Why is the Fonz dressed like Peter Griffin? Maybe he's a Peter Griffin fan. Does Peter Griffin wear green pants?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you see the video Ben Affleck debating Sam Harris on Islam on Bill Maher's show? Affleck was behaving like, we all saw that. Affleck was behaving like all 5 ladies on The View combined. Yes, he was.
Gross. It's racist.
Yeah, that was the Sam Harris that everyone with common sense can love.
That moment in TV history turned Sam Harris into a hero for so many people around the world. And then later on, a lot of the developments, especially after the whole Trump versus Hillary Clinton election time, really started splitting audience opinions on Sam Harris. And nowadays, he's no longer really a hero in people's eyes. But that really made him a hero.
And Sam Harris, it's sort of the same thing with Bill Maher, in that you could disagree with the guy on all kinds of things, but he has this, he'll tell you what he thinks, and that's sort of a good feature. Like when he's like, hey, there are all these bad ideas. Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas, and he knows Ben Affleck is going to flip out over that, right? But he says it. He goes ahead and says it anyway because it's true. It's true. So, yeah, guys, you disagree with people all over all kinds of things. It is a good feature to be willing to state the obvious, or to state what you think and so on. Even if you're terribly wrong, if you at least say it, then people can agree or disagree with you. But they're guys who basically don't back down from the massive pressure to keep your mouth closed if you're saying something that is unpopular with the person you're in front of. They'll go ahead and say it, even if a guy's going to flip out.
The one thing that I still like about Sam Harris, though, is the way he articulates himself when he has a disagreement with you, which is just this completely calm and seemingly extremely reasonable attitude.
Yeah,
that makes it hard to attack him.
Even though he's a complete douche in a bunch of ways. A few reasons why you're agnostic, AP. Former atheist.
Are you asking me from a religious point of view?
I think this person's just asking, why are you agnostic? It's pretty straightforward. You're not convinced by anything, and then therefore agnostic, right?
Why are you agnostic? It's like, why are you gay? There is the thing. It's an issue of conviction. I don't find myself being fully convinced at this point of one position or the other. But I'm also no longer holding on to that whole idea of, oh, you can't prove it, it's wrong, and so on, and it's debunked science, yeah. So not holding on to that, but also being quite undecided and unclear on lots of things. If I found myself one morning believing that a certain thing is totally true, I would probably develop on that and no longer be an agnostic. I don't know.
So AP's just a closet Christian who is pretending to be an agnostic because he doesn't want to lose his fan base.
And I'm also a secret Jew.
Mm-hmm. You've got that. Now you heard it here. Who says, D. Wood, remember to address my 2 super chats. You said you will. First was about a Muslim woman in church, and second, Masab's reply. He also addresses Pearl Harbor in 2 minutes. Yeah, who? I didn't mean in this live stream. I've said it before. When I don't pull up clips while I'm live. I actually download them, stuff like that. Check them out, address the volume levels and stuff like that. But no, I will check those. I will check those out. So, and if they're cool enough to cover in a live stream, we'll be going live again later this week. So we'll check those out. I never realized what something Mr. Winkler was in real life. Thank you for this knowledge. I thought he was okay. Like, again, it's one thing when someone is a total scumbag and is presenting ideas you disagree with, and it's another case where it's someone who I would actually get along with this guy, even though he's saying some things I really disagree with. Because if you got someone who's actually a decent guy and you disagree, you can actually have a discussion, and maybe the person sees the error of his ways. But just don't call him a Sitzpinkler. 79% of you think he's a Sitzpinkler. Let's see. October 7th was a crystal knock. Intifada equals crystal. Yeah. So that's basically what that was. And there are people who really, and I have to agree with Henry Winkler on that. You're probably going to see some more of that. It won't be on that scale and so on, but you're going to see some synagogues attacked and things like that, and random Jews attacked and in different parts of the world. On says that I am old. The Fonz signal was my cue to my husband. Cue to my husband. I drank too much, or the anesthesia did not wear off. Why are we listening to his opinion? He's the Fonz. What are you talking about? How are you gonna? He's the Fonz. Of course, you're going to listen to his opinion, and you can disagree with him, even though he's the Fonz. Very nice conversation, much more balanced, and finally we are free from the sort of idiocy-flavored dreck that Candace and co vomit incessantly. Yeah, guys, that's the real reason I wanted to cover it, is because there are 2 people who have a calm discussion, disagree on something, and kept it friendly and sort of lighthearted, even when one of them was saying something really, really, oh, you're saying you just kill everybody. You see? D says, D Wood, you are too funny not to like. Thank you, D. But why do you team up with atheists and agnostics against Islam? Makes total sense. But also insult at the same time. We are tolerant in common cause. Why aren't you? Hey, me pointing out.
Answer for your crimes.
Yeah. I actually think it's good if people can get along while agreeing on certain things and disagreeing. I don't think you have to say, okay, well, we have this common cause, therefore, let's not address anything else and not pretend like let's pretend like we don't disagree on other things. I think it's actually good if someone can sit here and say atheism is a donkey-brained ideology, and I can sit here with the world's most rabid atheist, if it came to it, and we could both blast away at Islam.
I mean, we also do it on the personal level, right? It's like we talk trash about each other all the time, and we're still here sitting together. It's not like it really means
a lot. Part of the idea is people are too babyish about things, and they're too easily offended. And one of the problems, D, with society is, and we've experienced this all the time. How could you guys disagree? You can't get along. Actually, we can. We can totally get along and totally disagree, and we're fine with it. And the people who say, no, you can't, AP, how are you working with a Christian when you should be trying to destroy Christianity like you destroy Islam? David, AP isn't even a believer. How could you not be blasting away at his dumb ideas all the time? We've never absorbed this idea that you can't get along with someone that you disagree with. And I think is like one of the fundamental problems in society right now is you either can only associate with people that you agree with completely, or if you do associate with them, you have to just keep your mouth closed about any sort of disagreements. We respectfully disagree. So I will continue making fun of atheists and agnostics and everyone else who disagrees with the true gospel. I made the best AI country song ever. Where's my Grammy? The next Zakir Naik. I think he posted your little song.
Oh, that's
your
good.
little Islam country song. But
I have a new one. Gosh, I want to start publishing some songs, Islamic music.
That'll be pretty bass. All right, last one here. Let's see. Nomadicus says, D. Boutro, because being an atheist had him doing horrible things. Love your testimony video, D. Wood. Watched it multiple times. Showed to my parents. My dad caught the Plato reference at the beginning. I'm glad people caught the Plato reference.
Why are you playing with Play-Doh? You're an adult.
It's actually funny. I have gotten responses from atheists going, oh, he's just copying Plato's allegory of the cave without giving credit. Like, guys, I'm doing it deliberately. So what's that called? Is that an Easter egg? No, it's not an Easter egg. I mean,
it is.
Oh, that's an Easter egg? That's an Easter egg? Yeah, so it's for people who actually know it to go, oh, I see what he's doing there. Because it was one of the classes I took on Plato, and the professor was actually, he was explaining how the action of the characters in a dialogue kind of connects to the topic, and he would map them out, and he would require us to map out. It actually has a name, mapping. I forget what the name is, but mapping out the action, what's going on in the drama of one of Plato's dialogues, and the actual topic. Like if they're discussing courage, when they're discussing courage, it will be these problems that arise in there, and should we keep going? No, we have to keep going. We have to keep going to get to the bottom of this. So courage will be a theme in the dialogue about courage, but it's on the level of the action, not just of the ideas being presented. And so anyway, but no, that's not why I make fun of atheism, not because I'm doing, not because atheism forced me to do horrible things or something like that.
It is actually.
Yeah. A lot of it, guys, when I'm making fun of atheists, it's just, you have a lot of atheists out there who are like total babies when it comes to criticism.
All atheists are babies. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, and what I don't like, so guys, keep in mind, there are plenty of Christians and atheists who get along. I mean, I just made a video about this, how atheists in the 80s and 90s tended to get, you had your Madeline Murray O'Hares occasionally and so on, but the vast majority of atheists got along with everyone else fine. They were like, oh, we will destroy you and must humiliate you, and oh my goodness, religion will destroy the world if we don't stop it. They weren't like that. They got along, and I predicted it's actually gonna go back to that. What I don't like is the atheists who sit around all day going, hey, everyone's dumb except us, and if you don't join us, then you're dumb. You join us, you're smart. If you don't join us, you're dumb. And then if you say, hey, atheism is dumb, they go, oh, I can't believe you're criticizing me. Okay, it's I've never liked that. I've never liked the we can blast you and call you all stupid and say you're all going to destroy the world, and that's why we have to save the world by destroying you all. And then people are babies about being criticized. So anyway, when you toss out the jabs, I think is actually good and healthy, in the sense that if I say donkey-brained atheist, who's actually going to be offended by that? Only going to offend a certain kind of atheists, right? The ones who can't. No, we're the ones who insult everyone else. You don't insult us. We insult you. You don't insult us. You sound like freaking idiot and babies to me. Not you, D. I'm talking about those particular kinds. Whereas everyone else is kind of. You understand? I'm joking, right? So it's only the hypersensitive people who get offended at certain things. Guess what? I believe you should make fun of people who freak out over being criticized, mainly if they're the ones constantly criticizing other people. In other words, D, there are a bunch of different kinds of atheists out there. And some atheists have very thin skin and like to mock everyone else. And
Not me. Not me.
And it's sort of similar to with Islam. You see us, and we can be talking to a Muslim who's not a jerk and who doesn't want to slaughter us, and we can have perfectly nice, friendly conversations. That same Muslim who's not easily offended and who's friendly, hopefully he understands if we're making fun of Islam that we're okay with you. We're okay with you. You're not trying to subjugate us. You're not trying to do this thing, but we're still going to make fun of Islam. All right. So last one here. Have you researched the various topics pertaining to the validity of theism and non-evolutionary worldview, AP? I'm a former atheist myself. NDEOBE. Is that standing for near-death experiences? I don't know what OBE. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Yes, I have.
AP says yes, he has. ND. That is your only answer. And finally from Goathub, atheists believe in a nothing daddy issues.
Yeah. They believe in straw daddy. Somebody said that earlier in the chat. I stole it from them.
Straw daddy?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I want to use. I actually like nothing daddy. Nothing daddy, nothing daddy, nothing daddy. It's funny because there's that book by Paul Vitz, who's a psychologist, and he actually responded to Freud's theory, but it goes back to before Freud, but Freud wrote an entire book on it about how theists basically have daddy issues. You grow up and you have your father as like a protector that you respect, and you get older, but you still need that sort of father figure. And so you believe in like your father in heaven. You need someone watching over you. So he explained it in terms of psychology. Anyway, Paul Vitz actually did the research, and he wrote an entire book. He went through the most prominent theists, defenders of theism for the past couple centuries, and the most prominent anti-theists of the past couple centuries. And he did find correlations. He found that the most prominent defenders of theism for the past couple centuries, they tended to have good relationships with a father figure that they respected. And the anti-theists, almost to a person, had either no father or they had a father, but they didn't like grow up with one. They were abandoned. They had a father who had abandoned them or a father who was horribly abusive. And so his point there is, yes, psychology does play a role here, but it's not just pointing the finger at the other people and saying, "Ha, you have daddy issues." No, you can have daddy issues too. You can have daddy issues on both sides. And so the point there, ladies and gentlemen, is atheists have daddy issues.
Everyone has daddy issues.
No, it's not true. All right, guys. So we're both going to be live with IP tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And we're both going to pee tomorrow on IP's channel. What? What are you laughing at?
I didn't expect you to jump on the joke that I made. So. Yeah.
So we'll be. What are we talking about? Oh, the Chat GPT arguments.
Yes. Yeah.
It's becoming awesome because back in the day when we didn't have the internet, you'd have this argument take off, like this argument from Scientific Miracles, and it would spread for decades before you could actually respond to it. And they admit that it's a stupid, terrible argument. It would take a long time to refute because you have someone like Zakir Naik giving the argument and he's talking to tens of thousands of people. And you're like trying to go around talking to people one at a time saying, "Hey, this is a bad argument." Very, very difficult to respond to things back then. Whereas now, because of the internet, now you can respond to things much more rapidly. And so you'll have something take off very quickly. ChatGPT is a Muslim. It says that Islam is true. And then it gets crushed very quickly. And so this is becoming very, very fun. Hey, do you know what this is? What sort of, is this some Turkish nonsense?
That looks like, what is it, Czech, Polish? What is it? I don't know.
All we know is that it's from Smiles to Jenna.
I don't know.
Capturing Christianity says, gonna post a video this week proving that Muhammad is a false prophet based on Surah 61:6. Hey guys, Cameron over at Capturing Christianity has been posting some really good videos dealing with some of the core issues, and he doesn't blast away like us in the sense of like just mocking stuff. He's actually focusing on very, very important issues and problems for Islam. So definitely want to check that out, and check out some of his recent videos where he's been covering some of the Islamic dilemma type stuff. Very, very important. It's good to see lots of people going after that stuff.
Cameron has been capturing Christianity, and it's pretty good.
He has. He's been capturing it. And we have D here saying,
Smile to Jahannam just said, it means God bless in Polish.
Oh, there you go.
It's Szczęść Boże.
And D says, AP never insults Christians, but D Wood insults atheists all the time. My point. What are you talking about?
Well, Christians are ridiculous. They suck. They're boring. Why would I need to insult them? Everyone already knows. Why would I need to insult them?
I'm never doing a show with you again, AP. I'm never doing a show with you again, AP.
Bunch of dorks.
Now, see how we just reacted, D? Why? AP's not. He's not seriously blasting away at Christians. And guess what? When I say donkey brain atheists, sometimes I believe there are atheists who are saying really, really stupid things. But usually I'm just joking when I say stuff like donkey brain atheists, as kind of fishing for atheists who are easily offended at stuff, because they're usually the atheists who they like the feeling of saying everyone else is stupid and we're the only smart ones. And you can kind of, no, actually you're dumb. You're a donkey brain. They go, what? And they flip out. And I don't know. It's just kind of fun. And I think I just think they're atheists who need to get off their little pedestal that they place themselves off.
I also don't have the same thing. I mean, it's very much in David Wood's nature to be a jerk.
That's true.
Whenever he talks about something, I don't really have the same thing, except when I'm talking about something that I really have a bone to pick with, or something that I feel too passionate about, like Islam and Jews. There you go.
Yeah, and yeah. I think most people can tell the difference between like a kind of playful joking and then, no, here's something I'm dead freaking serious about. And I'll include mocking, but you can tell I'm really, really serious. Like when we're talking about child marriage, we may even be like joking along the way, but we're dead serious about the point at the end of the day and stuff. And so, yeah, D, we all get along here. We got Christians, we got Jews, we got atheists, and we all get along pretty well over here. So this is actually cool stuff. And part of getting along is not being too sensitive about jokes and so on. We even have Muslims like Isa and so on who are as long as you're cool and not we can get along with anyone except certain people here. And it's usually the Dawa guys or people who can't stand the thought of ever being criticized in any way. That's not you, D. You're asking questions and so on. You're asking questions about how David King too mercilessly mock donkey-brained atheists and so on here. I'm saying there are people here who like they've again, they put themselves on a pedestal in the sense of like, you're talking about, hey, if we're trying to get along, then maybe we shouldn't be doing this. But there are other people who are like, my position is superior. I'm better than everyone else. No one can challenge me. If they do, I must destroy them. And people like that need to get off their stupid high horse.
Well, atheists are also kind of gay and all that.
That's true. They're homos and they have peckers that are 1.8 inches like Muhammad. And that's why they're mad. They're mad at God for giving them. It's like, God, if you exist, why did you give me 1.8 inches?
But you know what's the worst, though? You know what's the worst?
What?
Agnostics. Like,
I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I'm too scared to pick a side in all this. I don't know. I'm ignorant. I define myself as ignorant. My entire worldview is I'm so ignorant and dumb.
Sit here on this fence. It's
Yeah,
hurting
pick
me
a
from
pick
the
a side.
inside.
Take a stand, man. Take a stand, agnostics. Bunch of mule-brained agnostics out there. Andrew says, shared a funny satire of CNN talking about wave 3 of the pagers exploding ghosts. Hope you saw it on X. No, I didn't see it. I want to see that, though. Also love the Fonz, but seriously, the green trousers. Yeah, it's weird pulling off something like that, but you got to respect it as well. That is a man who is confident in his coolness. Like, I will walk in with the stupidest looking socks on the planet and the dumbest looking pants on the planet. You will still respect me because I'm the Fonz. Hey! And Michael here says, D Wood and AP, I'd rather worship Batman than Islam. Me too. I would prefer Batman over Islam. Islam would be the absolute bottom of the barrel as far as things that I would take seriously. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be on Inspiring Philosophy's channel tomorrow going through the Chat GPT stuff, seeing those powerful arguments that have been... Who used that? Ali Dawa went with that. Sheikh Uthman did it. A bunch of the most popular Dawa guys all went with the Chat GPT says that Islam is true. It's as you see.
The one Bobby guy.
Oh, Bobby's perspective.
Something about Islam and ChatGPT is getting it right. I think that guy ought too. Lots of them got it. Actually jumped on it and were like, "Yeah, look at this. ChatGPT is Muslim. Alhamdulillah." We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. So, guys, definitely tune into IP's channel tomorrow, and then we'll all pee together. Catch you next time.
Inshallah. Stay away from